Chapter 2439. How preposterous! Not only did he willingly submit to the dragons, but he also created such a cruel dragon god palace. Is he even worthy of being a human? In this emperor's opinion, he is just a dog by the dragon sovereign's side. The big black wolf angrily roared. Qin Feiyang suspiciously said, "Everyone has their own ambitions, why are you so agitated? Big brother, can't you see? I am speaking up for you. Look at you now, to destroy the dragons and break the rule of the dragons, how much effort have you put in? Look at this Yizhong. The name is quite good, but what about the way he acts? He clearly has the strength, but he wants to rely on the dragons, he is simply a disloyal and unjust bastard." The big black wolf said. Qin Feiyang laughed involuntarily and said, "Don't worry about others, just be yourself. I understand. Have a clear conscience. Don't worry, since we are already brothers, this emperor will definitely support you to the end." The big black wolf grinned. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled, "This guy is getting more and more interesting. Young master, before the results are out, we really can't be careless." "Yes. It's best to be prepared at any time." Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan looked at Qin Feiyang, their expressions very serious. "I know." Qin Feiyang nodded. "All right then." The two buried their heads and continued to organize the treasures. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, then brought Chao Dayuan and the big black wolf out of the ancient castle. Chao Dayuan looked outside the cave, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Why don't you let me stay in your ancient castle? This emperor is puzzled, how did such a coward like you have the courage to come to the dragon god palace?" The big black wolf looked at Chao Dayuan angrily. It had seen many people who were greedy for life and afraid of death, but it was the first time it met such a coward. "You think I am like you? You have heaven-defying divine artifacts, at least escaping won't be a problem. But me? There's nothing. Once I'm abandoned by you, there's only one way out." Chao Dayuan lowered his head, feeling wronged. "You win." The big black wolf was speechless. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, "If you want to stay in the castle, you have to see if you have the qualifications." Chao Dayuan was taken aback and pursed his lips as he said, "Isn't it just a spatial divine object, still talking about qualifications? You know nothing. Do you know what kind of spatial divine item the castle is? Do you think that divine object in your trashy space can compare to it?" The big black wolf was instantly enraged. Don't. There's no need to be angry with him, and there's no need to explain to him." Qin Feiyang stopped the big black wolf. "A frog at the bottom of a well. How pathetic." The big black wolf looked disdainfully at Chao Dayuan and did not continue to be angry. It was not worth getting angry with such an ignorant person. Chao Dayuan timidly glanced at the big black wolf, then looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Then what do we do now?" "Wait." Qin Feiyang said. "Wait for what?" Chao Dayuan was puzzled. "Wait for news." After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he looked at the big black wolf and said, "Go out for a walk. If you have any news, come back and tell me immediately. However, don't go too far. If anything happens, I won't be able to save you in time. It's just asking for information. Can you stop me?" The big black wolf laughed disdainfully, then ran out like a wisp of smoke. Qin Feiyang summoned his crimson sword soul and the nine-leaf fire lotus again. He lowered his head and pondered. 2 war souls. Alas, they're just ordinary war souls. They're useless. Chao Dayuan was shocked when he saw the 2 war souls. Then, he shook his head with a hint of disdain in his eyes. Time passed silently. An hour later. The big black wolf ran into the cave abode in a hurry. "What's wrong?" Qin Feiyang looked at it. The big black wolf panted and said, I have good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He said, let's hear the good news first, then. The good news is that Long Zun's clone has left. As for us, nobody mentioned it. I reckon Long Zun didn't think much of it. The big black wolf said. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang's heart, which had been hanging in the air, finally calmed down. Chao Dayuan heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at the big black wolf and asked, what's the bad news? The big black wolf glanced at him indifferently. Then, it looked at Qin Feiyang and said, the bad news is that Yi Zhong stayed behind in the Dragon God Temple. That's nothing. After all, he's the Grand Temple Master of the Dragon God Temple. Chao Dayuan said. Shut up. The big black wolf glared at him. Chao Dayuan smiled bitterly. However, at the same time, Qin Feiyang frowned again. What was Yi Zhong doing in the Dragon God Temple? If it was just staying in the Dragon God Temple, it wouldn't be a big deal. But the problem is that he actually let the original Temple Master of the Dragon God Temple go to Holy Dragon City. The big black wolf said. What? Let the Temple Master go to Holy Dragon City? Then who will manage the affairs of the Dragon God Temple? Chao Dayuan was surprised. Qin Feiyang said, is there a need to think about it? Yi Zhong will manage it personally. Chao Dayuan shook his head. That's impossible. He's the Grand Temple Master. How can he manage these trivial matters? But isn't the truth already in front of us? The Dragon God Temple Master went to Holy Dragon City. All the affairs of the Dragon God Temple naturally fall on Yi Zhong's head. The big black wolf said. Chao Dayuan was puzzled. Why would he do that? Isn't it troublesome? The big black wolf gnashed its teeth and roared, can you shut up? I'm annoyed when I hear you talk. Okay. Chao Dayuan nodded repeatedly. The big black wolf took a deep breath and looked at Qin Feiyang. Big brother, what do you think? Yi Zhong stayed in the Dragon God Temple in the north. I think, on one hand, it's to keep an eye on the young man. After all, the young man's methods are too heaven-defying. Someone has to keep an eye on him. On the other hand, he should be coming for me. Qin Feiyang said. The big black wolf grinned and said, that's what I think too. Then tell me about it. Qin Feiyang looked at him curiously. Dragon's princess can't catch you after so long. Long Zun will definitely be anxious. Then what should we do? She can't just go herself and waste time, can she? Moreover, if she personally comes to deal with a descendant of Qin Batian, she won't be able to keep her face. Because others will laugh at her behind her back. Yi Zhong, on the other hand, is strong and resourceful. He's definitely smart. Naturally, Yi Zhong is the best candidate. The big black wolf said. Amazing. I really didn't expect you to be so smart. Qin Feiyang smiled. The big black wolf's words were really beyond his expectations. Child's play. The big black wolf smiled proudly. Qin Feiyang said, it seems that now, we not only have to guard against princess dragons, but also Yi Zhong. The big black wolf said, but for now, there won't be any danger. Qin Feiyang nodded. Because of the young man, whether it was the people of the first island or the black-clothed man, they did not dare to attack him. When he had time, he had to thank this person properly because he saved him a lot of trouble. Qin Feiyang smiled. Since the crisis is over, let's go cultivate. What about me? Chao Dayuan could not help but ask hurriedly. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and led the big black wolf and Chao Dayuan into the castle. Chao Dayuan's nervous mood finally relaxed. Qin Feiyang said, go and help. Okay. Chao Dayuan nodded and immediately ran to Li Changhe's side to help tidy up the treasures. There's a cultivation room upstairs. After tidying it up, you guys can also go and cultivate. As for the soul stone, you can take it from the fire lotus. Qin Feiyang looked at Li Changhe and said with a smile. Thank you, young master. When the two heard this, they were overjoyed and quickly got up to thank him. Why did they enter the Dragon God Palace? It was to get better and more resources. However, even if they entered the Dragon God Palace, the resources were limited. Take whatever they wanted? There was never such a possibility. Unless you were the child of Long Zun. When they were first enslaved by Qin Feiyang, they were quite depressed and missed the opportunity to enter the Dragon God Palace. But now that they heard Qin Feiyang's words, all the negative emotions in their hearts instantly disappeared. Only excitement was left. Because the words, take whatever they want, meant that they would have endless soul stones and resources in the future. This was what they had dreamed of before. Following this person was worth it. What about me? The big black wolf was slightly stunned and hurriedly looked at Qin Feiyang fawningly. Same. Qin Feiyang smiled and turned to enter the cultivation room and began to cultivate in seclusion. Awesome. The big black wolf laughed and looked at Chao Dayuan. He said proudly, Kid, are you jealous? Jealous? Unfortunately, this is something you can't get. Li Changhe glanced at Chao Dayuan, their faces full of pride. Chao Dayuan was indeed envious and jealous. And even more regretful. Why was he so stupid at that time and ran to tip them off? If he had served this person wholeheartedly from the beginning, he might have ended up like this big wolf dog and Li Changhe. This difference in thinking, the difference in treatment was like heaven and earth. Time passed like this, day by day. The Dragon God Palace also gradually regained its peace. Neither the young man nor the black-clothed man came to look for Qin Feiyang again, as if they had been forgotten. However, Fan Yunzhang did look for Qin Feiyang a few times. Of course. He definitely wouldn't come to the Dragon God Palace to look for Qin Feiyang, so he used the image crystal. And his purpose of looking for Qin Feiyang was to persuade Qin Feiyang to complete the task of replacing all the city lords in the north. But every time Fan Yunzhang heard about this, Qin Feiyang would directly turn off the image crystal. He was already too busy with his own affairs, and he still had the mood to care about other people's business. If he had this free time, he might as well cultivate in seclusion. This made Fan Yunzhang very helpless. Later, Fan Yunzhang found Jiang Dafei and asked Jiang Dafei to persuade Qin Feiyang, but it was useless. In the end, Qin Feiyang, who was annoyed by the two of them, directly said that it was useless even if the ancestor came. As a result, the two of them could only give up helplessly. As for Jiang Dafei, he also found the immortal general and got a certificate to confirm his identity to Qin Feiyang. This certificate was also the twin dragon pendant of the mermaid princess. Because in this immortal general's opinion, the twin dragon pendant was the best token. And this immortal general naturally learned from Fan Yunzhang and Jiang Dafei that Qin Feiyang refused this task. Regarding this, he was also very helpless. If it was someone else, he would dare to beat, scold, and force them, but this was the descendant of the Qin emperor, who dared to touch him? He could only persuade him slowly. Or think of another way. Chapter 2440. In the blink of an eye. 3.5 years had passed. For the creatures of the divine land, let alone 3 years, even 300 years, or 3,000 years, was just a blink of an eye. But for Qin Feiyang, it was a very long seclusion. Because more than 10,000 years had passed in the castle. According to the time in the castle, he was already a 10,000-year-old antique. Boom! And on this day, His cultivation had broken through to the perfected Divine Lord realm. To break through to the Divine Lord realm, he needed to consume 4 billion soul stones. According to his refining speed, it would take him about 850 soul stones a day, which would take about 12,000 years. But according to the castle, it would only take him about 1,200 days. In years, it would take him 3.5 years. After the breakthrough, he did not stop and immediately stabilized his realm, preparing to break through to the perfected Divine Lord realm in one go. Because once he broke through to the perfected Divine Lord realm, he could take the Chaos Divine Pill and directly break through to the half-step Divine Lord realm. His cultivation would increase by a lot in an instant. Buzz. But things did not go as planned. The image crystal rang. Qin Feiyang took out the image crystal. 2 phantoms appeared. It was Fan Yunzhang and Jiang Dafei. Aren't you annoying? When Qin Feiyang saw them, he was ready to turn off the image crystal. Jiang Dafei hurriedly said, "Young lord, don't be anxious. Let us finish." Qin Feiyang frowned and said expressionlessly, "Speak." Jiang Dafei said, "Someone wants to see you." "See me?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and asked, "Who?" "A very important person." Jiang Dafei said. "Yes. It's very important to you." Fan Yunzhang also said. "Very important." Qin Feiyang thought for a while and immediately asked, "Is it the ancestor?" "You'll know when you come." The two of them smiled mysteriously. Qin Feiyang said lightly, "It's useless even if the ancestor comes." Jiang Dafei and Fan Yunzhang looked at each other and could not help but smile bitterly. Fan Yunzhang said helplessly, "Anyway, come over first. I'll give you the pill fire." "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, "Where shall we meet?" "Definitely not in the city lord's mansion. Fenghua Tower it is. This subordinate has already booked a room. Room 7 on the 7th floor." Jiang Dafei said. "All right." Qin Feiyang nodded and turned off the image crystal. "Who wants to see me?" Qin Feiyang muttered to himself with a puzzled look in his eyes. He stood up, put away the image crystal, and walked out of the cultivation room. Inside the hall, there was no one there. Li Changhe, Wang Daoyuan, and the big black wolf had already gone into seclusion. He walked out of the hall and stood outside the castle, looking at the medicinal field. Looking at the current medicinal field, Qin Feiyang's face was suddenly filled with shock. In the beginning, this was only a very small medicinal field. But now, the medicine field had almost occupied half of the devil's land. All the medicinal herbs that Qin Feiyang recognized were available here. There were also some that even he didn't recognize. Furthermore, after so many years of growth, the medicinal herbs had also changed greatly. For example, the Nirvana divine tree that he had first encountered was originally only 1 meter tall. But now, it was dozens of feet tall, with lush branches and leaves, like a large umbrella towering into the sky. There were hundreds of Nirvana divine fruits on it. Looking at the essence qi and energy that filled the medicinal field, it was so dense that it had formed a mist. It was just like the sea of clouds in the Dragon God Palace. The medicinal herbs were overflowing with multicolored light. Coupled with the spiritual essence and energy, the demonic land, which was originally fraught with danger, was now like a fairyland. It could be said that cultivating in seclusion in the medicinal field, even without refining soul stones, one's cultivation speed could still increase by leaps and bounds. Just like at this moment, Chao Dayuan was cultivating in the small courtyard next to it. Originally, he was half a step into the immortal realm. After all these years, he had already stepped into the immortal realm. "What are you doing?" Qin Feiyang walked into the small courtyard and looked at him coldly. Chao Dayuan was shocked and hurriedly opened his eyes. He got up and looked at Qin Feiyang, saying, "Brotherly, Qin Feiyang said indifferently, I don't think I allowed you to cultivate here." Chao Dayuan panicked and said, "Aren't I idle? Besides, more than 10,000 years have passed. What else can I do if I don't cultivate? But don't worry, I didn't take a single soul stone here. You have to have the guts." Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and asked, "Where's the fire lotus?" "I don't know. Half a year ago, she left the Devil's Land with the 3 Black Panther brothers." Chao Dayuan shook his head. Qin Feiyang closed his eyes and extended his perception infinitely. Swish! In the next moment, he disappeared into thin air from Chao Dayuan's sight. Chao Dayuan finally heaved a sigh of relief. Looking at the medicinal field around him, his eyes were filled with greed. If these medicinal herbs were all his, how good would that be? The Desert of Death. In the deepest part, 100-story stone pagoda stood tall in the desert. This was the place that the creatures of the Black Tortoise world called the Divine Treasury. In the past, this was the end. But now, there was a vast desert in front of the Divine Treasury. In the sky above the desert, 1 man and 3 beasts scanned the front, their eyes full of surprise. It was the 3 Black Panther brothers and Fire Lotus. The Black Tortoise world has grown a lot. Qin Feiyang walked silently beside Fire Lotus and looked ahead. "Boss." The 3 Black Panther brothers were slightly taken aback and immediately looked at Qin Feiyang excitedly. "You're out." Fire Lotus also smiled. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at the 3 Black Panther brothers. He smiled and said, "You've improved a lot." In the past, the 3 Black Panther brothers were perfect monarchs. But now, their cultivation had reached the half-step divine realm. It was all bestowed by Big Sister. Not only did she help us open the door of potential, but she also gave us chaos divine pills. And she let us take any soul stones. The 3 Black Panther brothers' eyes were full of gratitude. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "That means you're very obedient." "That's natural. Big Sister's words are an imperial edict." "Of course. That includes you, boss." The 3 brothers' faces were full of flattery. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He looked at Fire Lotus and said, "What are you doing here?" "I'm observing the changes in the Black Tortoise world." Fire Lotus pointed ahead and said, "Look, after more than 10,000 years of growth, the Black Tortoise world has grown a lot." Qin Feiyang looked up. From the desert, it could be seen that the Black Tortoise world had grown by at least 100 miles. In other words, the Black Tortoise world's current diameter was more than 200 miles. Because the 4 sides of the Black Tortoise world were growing. 100 miles on each side, 200 miles on both sides added together. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's eyes showed a trace of doubt. At the end of the desert was a dark area. "What is that?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Fire Lotus said, "At first, I didn't know. Later on, I heard from that brat that it's a chaotic zone." "That brat appeared before?" Qin Feiyang was startled. "Yes. He appeared a few times. He seems to be observing the changes in the Black Tortoise world." Fire Lotus nodded. "Chaotic zone." Qin Feiyang looked again and frowned. According to him, the chaotic zone is the state before heaven and earth were formed. And inside the chaotic zone, there is an extremely terrifying pressure. Other than the ruler of the world, no one can enter. Fire Lotus said. "So that's how it is." Qin Feiyang suddenly understood and asked, "Then I can enter?" "Of course. You are the master of the Black Tortoise world, where can't you go?" Fire Lotus nodded with a smile. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly, and he took a step forward. In front of the chaotic zone, he took a tentative step forward. When he stepped into the chaotic zone, he didn't feel any obstruction or pressure. Thus, his entire body entered the chaotic zone. In front of him, everything was gray and there was nothing. It was dead silent. After observing for a while, Qin Feiyang retreated from the chaotic zone and returned to Fire Lotus's side. How is it inside? Fire Lotus looked at him curiously. There's nothing. Qin Feiyang shook his head. It's just as that brat said. I'm not afraid of you laughing at me. I've tried many times to enter and take a look, but I've never succeeded. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang smiled, and said, since it's clear that the black tortoise world is growing, then there's no need to pay so much attention in the future. You should also cultivate well. Actually, I've been cultivating all this time. Fire Lotus said. You've been cultivating all this time? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Why didn't he see it? Fire Lotus smiled faintly. What I'm cultivating is not to increase my cultivation, but to comprehend the profound meaning of laws. Comprehend the profound meaning of laws? Qin Feiyang looked at her in surprise. Yes. There are also strong and weak undead realm experts. And this kind of strength, in addition to divine arts and divine artifacts, there is also the power of laws. A person who controls the power of laws can easily kill a person who doesn't control the power of laws. Fire Lotus explained. You don't need to say this, I can think of it. But what kind of profound meaning of laws are you comprehending? Qin Feiyang was curious. That depends on the opportunity. Fire Lotus said. Opportunity? Qin Feiyang was stunned and frowned. Without a clear goal, how can you comprehend it? The profound meaning of laws is not comparable to others. Only when the profound meaning of laws awakens will you know what kind of power of laws you have. Fire Lotus said. I don't understand. Qin Feiyang shook his head. It's normal that you don't understand now. Because only when you break through to the undead realm can you slowly understand it. Fire Lotus said with a smile. All right. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly and said, let's go back. I still have something to do. Where are you going? Fire Lotus was suspicious. Holy Dragon City. Fan Yunzhang and Jiang Dafei sent a message saying that someone wants to see me. I guess it's my ancestor. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. Originally, he had always wanted to have a good chat with his ancestor, but now, he had a headache. Fire Lotus asked with a smile, are you afraid that the Qin Emperor will force you to accept that mission? Of course. Qin Feiyang was helpless. He really didn't have the time. Why couldn't they just let him go? There were so many people in the Dragon Slayer Palace. Why couldn't they just let someone else do it? Since the Qin Emperor gave you this mission, it will definitely help you in the future. Why don't you accept it? Fire Lotus persuaded. Qin Feiyang said unhappily, I accept this mission, and you want to help me complete it? Sure. Fire Lotus nodded. Qin Feiyang was stunned. She agreed immediately. Wasn't she afraid of trouble at all? This girl. Chapter 2441. In fact, Qin Feiyang could see that Fire Lotus wasn't afraid of trouble. It was all to help him. Otherwise, how could she have the time to care about other people's business? But it was because of this that he was even more unwilling to accept this mission. Because Fire Lotus had already helped him a lot. He couldn't let her waste her energy on these trivial matters. Boom! Just as Qin Feiyang was about to bring Fire Lotus and the three brothers back to the Devil's Land, a terrifying divine power suddenly emerged. What? The three brothers were shocked. How could the Black Tortoise world have such a terrifying divine power? Because this divine power had already surpassed Fire Lotus. It seems to be from the Netherworld Sea. Qin Feiyang was also shocked. He looked towards the source of the aura and said in a deep voice. "Let's go take a look." Boss Black Panther said. "We have to go take a look. He's actually one step ahead of me and broke through to the initial imperishable realm." Fire Lotus laughed. "N?" The three brothers looked at Fire Lotus in surprise. Listening to this, Big Sister knew him. Qin Feiyang also suddenly smiled and said, "So it's Hua Yi." After that, Qin Feiyang closed his eyes and searched for Hua Yi's location. Soon, he waved his hand and brought Fire Lotus and the three brothers, descending in the sky above a black ocean. Below was the Netherworld Sea, as far as the eye could see. But the strange thing was that the water in the Netherworld Sea was black and emitted a hair-raising aura. Although the Netherworld Sea was one of the forbidden areas of the Black Tortoise world, the creatures of the Black Tortoise world would often risk their lives to enter the Netherworld Sea. Because here, Fire Lotus also hid many divine items. Directly below, there was a small island. The island was filled with rocks and was lifeless. In the center of the island, a young man wearing a fiery robe with long fiery red hair was sitting cross-legged on a huge rock. Who else could it be but Hua Yi? That aura was like a volcanic eruption, rolling out. Between heaven and earth, the wind whistled, flying sand and gravel. This momentum not only alarmed Qin Feiyang and the others, but also the entire Black Tortoise world's living beings. Almost all living beings were looking at the Netherworld Sea. Those who were searching for treasures in the Netherworld Sea were even more shocked. Whose aura was it? How could it be so terrifying? Was there such a powerful character in the Black Tortoise world? A huge city was located somewhere in the Black Tortoise world. This was the site of the Vanga League. At this moment, two middle-aged men stood above the city, looking at the Netherworld Sea. If Qin Feiyang was here, he would definitely recognize them as the two guards he had brought into the Black Tortoise world. Pai Lupi, Theta Wang. Due to the Black Tortoise world's time laws, both of their cultivations had improved by leaps and bounds. He also relied on his powerful strength to become the overlord of the Black Tortoise realm. Pai Lupi said in shock, "Theta Wang, this aura is terrifying." "Yeah. It feels like it's already beyond the Nine Heavens realm. I think he's definitely not from the Black Tortoise world." Theta Wang said in a deep voice. "Yeah. There's no such person in the Black Tortoise world. If I'm not wrong, he must be Qin Feiyang's friend." Pai Lupi said. "We can't afford to offend these people. In the future, we'd better send people to guard the Devil's Land. Anyone who dares to enter the Devil's Land will be killed without mercy." Theta Wang said. "I agree." Pai Lupi nodded. The other living beings in the Black Tortoise world didn't know, but they knew very well what kind of people lived in the Devil's Land. They definitely couldn't afford to offend them. The Netherworld Sea. Qin Feiyang, Fire Lotus, and Black Panther stood in the air, silently looking at Hua Yi. Hua Yi's aura grew stronger and stronger. About half an hour later. Boom! The island under Hua Yi shattered with a loud bang. The surrounding Netherworld Sea surged with huge waves, and many people were swallowed by the sea. The seawater of the Netherworld Sea had an extremely strong corrosive power. No one who was swept into the sea could escape. They were all corroded by the seawater, and not even their bones were left. Swish! At this moment, Hua Yi opened his eyes, and two rays of light burst out. I finally broke through, dragons, just you wait, I'll find you sooner or later to settle the score." Hua Yi suddenly stood up and laughed. "Not bad," Fire Lotus said. Hua Yi was slightly taken aback. He looked up at the sky and asked in surprise, "Why are you guys here?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. "You've caused such a big commotion, how can we not come and take a look?" Hua Yi was stunned. Looking at the rolling Netherworld Sea, he quickly retracted his aura. At this moment, the netherworld sea began to slowly calm down. If you want to break through, then break through. Why do you have to make such a big scene? I wonder how many people have died in vain in the netherworld sea. Fire Lotus rolled her eyes. Hua Yi smiled embarrassedly and flew in front of the two of them. He looked at the three black leopard brothers and said, "You guys got a new pet?" When he subdued the three black leopard brothers, Hua Yi had already gone to cultivate, so he didn't know what had happened during this period of time. Qin Feiyang said, "Not a pet, a partner." Alright, alright, alright. Hua Yi grinned, looked at Fire Lotus, and said, "All these years, did Qin Feiyang bully you?" "What are you talking about? How could he bully me?" Fire Lotus was speechless. She looked at Qin Feiyang and said to Hua Yi, "You don't have to hide it anymore, Qin Dage already knows my identity." Fire Lotus did not send a sound transmission to him. What the hell? Already know? Hua Yi was stunned. Do you really think you can hide it from me? You're the disciple of the Vice Palace Master, you really know how to brag. Qin Feiyang sneered. I'm just afraid of being misunderstood by you. You said I have other intentions. Hua Yi smiled. Then can you tell me now why your aura makes me feel inexplicably familiar? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Hua Yi chuckled, "Is there a need to think about it? I'm your long-lost brother." Fire Lotus couldn't help but laugh out loud. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. This guy was too good at bullshitting. Brother? And long lost? He really admired this guy's imagination. I won't tease you anymore. Actually, it's because of this. Hua Yi laughed and took out a battle sword from his body. What? Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. The battle sword was purple gold in color. But it was only half of it, without a sword tip. When this broken sword appeared, the sense of familiarity became even stronger. Hua Yi smiled, "I believe you're not unfamiliar with this broken sword, right?" Of course not. Because this broken sword was exactly the same as the broken sword in the ancestral statue's hand. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Why is it in your hands? Back then, the battle with the dragons caused my Nine Heavens Palace to suffer heavy losses. Your ancestor felt guilty, so when he left the broken sword in Nine Heavens Palace. Hua Yi said. Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at the broken sword suspiciously. According to Hua Yi, his ancestor left this broken sword as compensation for Nine Heavens Palace. But this broken sword didn't look very strong. As if seeing Qin Feiyang's doubts, Hua Yi smiled, "Don't be fooled by its appearance. This broken sword has always been sealed, but it's actually a heaven-defying divine artifact." What? A heaven-defying divine artifact? Qin Feiyang was shocked. That's right. However, it wasn't sealed by itself, but by someone. As for who sealed it, your ancestor doesn't know, and of course, I don't know either. All these years, I've tried to undo the seal, but I couldn't do it. Hua Yi rubbed the broken sword and said regretfully. Seal, Qin Feiyang muttered, and said, "Let me see." Hua Yi handed the broken sword to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang grabbed it in his hand, and his spirit sense rushed towards the broken sword. Don't. Seeing this, Hua Yi's face suddenly changed, and he hurriedly shouted. But it was too late. Qin Feiyang's spirit sense had already entered the broken sword. Immediately, a mysterious force surged out and instantly shattered Qin Feiyang's spirit sense. Puff! Qin Feiyang's face turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood, his eyes filled with shock. Didn't you say you were just looking? Why are you still using your spirit sense to peek? I'll tell you. Even my spirit sense can't peek into the seal inside the broken sword. Hua Yi said. Then why didn't you say so earlier? Fire Lotus said angrily. She only found out about this matter now. Hua Yi said aggrievedly, I originally wanted to say it, but I didn't have the time. Fire Lotus stared at Hua Yi, looked at Qin Feiyang, and asked with concern, Are you all right? I'm fine. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, his eyes full of surprise. Why would there be such a powerful seal inside this broken sword? Where did the ancestor get this broken sword? Wait. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. The surprise on his face became even stronger. What's wrong? Fire Lotus was suspicious. I remember that Mu Tianyang said that a divine treasure had once appeared in Great Qin's Sea of Reincarnation. At that time, the Lu family's ancestor obtained the thieving heaven realm. The demon ancestor obtained 3,000 incarnations. Mu Tianyang also obtained the gate of time and space. The ancestor also obtained a divine object, but the ancestor had never mentioned it to anyone. What kind of divine object did he obtain? I've always been puzzled. But now that I think about it, could it be that he obtained this broken sword? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Fire Lotus was slightly stunned, and shook her head. I'm afraid you have to ask your ancestor himself, because even Mu Tianyang and the demon ancestor didn't know that this broken sword was a heaven-defying divine artifact, which means that your ancestor intentionally hid it. Qin Feiyang nodded, looked down at the broken sword, and returned it to Hua Yi. Forget it. Hua Yi waved his hand. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Back then, he gave me the broken sword because your ancestor wanted to make it up to my 9-heaven palace. But now, Fire Lotus has come back from the dead, and the axe is still here. There's no need to make it up. You are his descendant, so I'll hand it over to you now. You can keep it for yourself, or you can return it to your ancestor in the future. You can deal with it yourself. Hua Yi said. This, Qin Feiyang hesitated, and shook his head. You should return it to your ancestor personally. Are you saying that I'm not the same? Hua Yi was speechless. Of course not. I am me, and my ancestor is my ancestor. We can't be confused. Besides, this is a gift from my ancestor. If he sees it in my hands, he'll probably think that I took it back by force. Qin Feiyang said and forcefully stuffed it into Hua Yi's hands. All right, I'll keep it for you. Hua Yi smiled helplessly and put away the broken sword. Qin Feiyang said, So, back then, you saw through my identity through the broken sword, and then approached me? Yes. But it was mainly because of Fire Lotus. I was too familiar with her. Even though she was still an undead at that time, and even though she hid her true appearance, I recognized her immediately. So, I approached you to protect her. Hua Yi said. Qin Feiyang said, Then, in the future, should I call you Yi Xiaoyao, or continue to call you Hua Yi? You even know my real name? Hua Yi was stunned. I knew it long ago. Qin Feiyang pursed his lips. Ha, Hua Yi laughed dryly and waved his hand. It's just a name, you can call me whatever you want. But during the time I was in seclusion, did anything interesting happen? His face was full of curiosity. Chapter 2442. Qin Feiyang was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. With a wave of his hand, the 3 men and 3 beasts instantly descended above the medicine field. What's going on? When he saw the medicine field at this moment, Hua Yi's face was full of shock. Compared to when he left, the difference was like heaven and earth. Fire Lotus smiled and said, A lot of things have happened in the years you were gone. Looking at this magnificent medicine field, you can tell that a lot of interesting things must have happened. Tell me quickly. Hua Yi looked at Fire Lotus with interest. Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 men and 3 beasts and said with a smile, You guys take your time, I'll go to Holy Dragon City first. Okay. Fire Lotus nodded. Black Panther asked, "Boss, why don't you ask how many crystal veins and soul lines we got this time?" "How many?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. "Including the soul lines and crystal veins from Black Rock City, we now have a total of 1,200 soul lines and 2,300 crystal veins. And the soul lines and crystal veins in Black Rock City that were originally below level 9 have now evolved into divine level soul lines and crystal veins," Black Panther said excitedly. Qin Feiyang was taken aback and asked, "Are they all rank 1 and 2? "No, no, no. Many of the soul lines and crystal veins in Holy Dragon City are rank 3, and there are even more than a dozen rank 5 soul lines and crystal veins," Black Panther said. "In other words, the soul lines and crystal veins in the north are at most rank 5? Qin Feiyang said. "That's the case for now. But the Dragon God Palace must have soul lines and crystal veins above rank 5. Boss, when are we going to make a move on the Dragon God His Highness?" The 3 Black Panther brothers laughed evilly, looking ready to make a move. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Were these 3 brothers bandits? Wait. What are you talking about? What Dragon God Palace? Hua Yi looked at them suspiciously. "I'll tell you later." The Black Panther boss waved his paw at Hua Yi, then looked at Qin Feiyang, instigating, "Boss, for the sake of the Black Tortoise World's billions of lives, the Dragon God's Hall's crystal vein and soul vein must not be let go." Billions? Qin Feiyang was speechless. How could there be so many people in the Black Tortoise World? "Let's talk about it later." Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at Chao Dayuan, who was standing in the courtyard, and said, "Come here." As for Chao Dayuan, after Qin Feiyang and the others returned, he had been staring at Hua Yi, his eyes filled with fear. This was because he could feel that the aura Hua Yi was exuding was even stronger than the Fire Lotus. One had to know. The Fire Lotus was a half-step indestructible. If he was stronger than the Fire Lotus, didn't that mean he had already surpassed the half-step undying level? Just how many supreme experts were hidden by this person's side? "You didn't hear me?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. "Yes, yes, yes." Chao Dayuan quivered and hurriedly ran towards Qin Feiyang. "That's right." Qin Feiyang looked at the Fire Lotus and asked, "In the City Lord's Mansion's treasury, are there any legendary divine artifacts?" "No. There are more than a dozen peak-level divine artifacts. However, there are quite a few legendary divine artifacts and divine arts that we plundered in the examination grounds. I've counted. In the examination grounds, we found a total of 125 divine artifacts and 1,012 divine arts. Among them, 5 legendary divine artifacts, 16 peak-level divine artifacts, and the rest are not counted. As for divine arts, there are 4 legendary divine arts and 12 peak-level divine artifacts," Fire Lotus said. "So many?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. He didn't expect there to be 5 legendary divine artifacts and 4 divine arts. Fire Lotus smiled, "If you want, I can give them to you now. I don't have time to look at them now. We'll talk about it when we return from the Holy Dragon City. As for the peak-level divine artifacts and divine arts that are above the peak level, as usual, give them to the creatures of the Black Tortoise Realm," Qin Feiyang said. "All right." Fire Lotus nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and left the Black Tortoise Realm with Chao Dayuan. Immediately after, Qin Feiyang entered Chao Dayuan's spatial divine object. Chao Dayuan immediately opened an altar and descended on the plaza at the entrance. Immediately. His expression was slightly stunned as he saw a futon placed in the middle of the plaza. And on the futon sat a white-haired old man. The white-haired old man had his eyes closed, his expression indifferent, but his aura was unfathomable. "Greetings, Lord, may I ask who you are?" Chao Dayuan landed on the plaza and bowed respectfully, then looked at the white-haired old man suspiciously. This old man is Yi Zhong. The white-haired old man opened his eyes and laughed hoarsely. You are the Lord Grand Hall Master? Chao Dayuan immediately trembled, and even stuttered when he spoke. Although he had often heard of Yi Zhong's name, this was the first time he had seen him in person. Yes. Yi Zhong nodded. Chao Dayuan almost collapsed. It was actually this peerless figure, and said, "What are you sitting here for?" "Of course it's to guard the Dragon God Palace." "Are you going out for something?" Yi Zhong said. "Yes." Chao Dayuan nodded. Yi Zhong said, "It's not very peaceful outside recently, don't stay too long." "Yes." Chao Dayuan was flattered and nodded his head, then walked towards the stone door while sizing up Yi Zhong. Yi Zhong also closed his eyes, looking harmless and without the slightest bit of arrogance. Should I tell him about what happened to Qin Feiyang here? Suddenly, Chao Dayuan had this thought. However, after struggling for a moment, he still gave up. First of all, Qin Feiyang not only had Fire Lotus by his side, but also someone stronger than Fire Lotus. Secondly, there was also that young man. That young man's strength was on par with Yi Zhong. So even if he told Yi Zhong probably wouldn't be able to kill Qin Feiyang. In this way, the only one who would be unlucky in the end would be him. Because Qin Feiyang would not let him go. After leaving the Dragon God Palace, Chao Dayuan quickly rushed down the stone stairs, found an empty mountain peak, and called Qin Feiyang out from the space divine object. After Qin Feiyang came out, he looked at Chao Dayuan and said indifferently, "You should be glad that you didn't tell Yi Zhong, otherwise, you would be a corpse now." Chao Dayuan looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. How did this person know what he was thinking? "You're courting death." A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. He heard every word of the conversation between Chao Dayuan and Yi Zhong in the space divine object, but because he didn't use the slave seal to control Chao Dayuan, he actually didn't know what Chao Dayuan was thinking. Just now, he was purely bluffing Chao Dayuan. Because a person like Chao Dayuan, facing a peerless figure like Yi Zhong, would very likely have thoughts of betraying him, so he scared him. But he didn't expect Chao Dayuan to really have such thoughts. Because Chao Dayuan's reaction just now was enough to prove this point. "Brotherly, no, Lord Qin, don't be angry, I did think about it, but I will do it. I won't dare to do it again in the future, please, don't kill me." Looking at Qin Feiyang's cold expression, Chao Dayuan immediately knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Huff. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and said indifferently, "You know Fenghua Tower?" "Yes." Chao Dayuan nodded. Qin Feiyang said, "Take me there immediately." After saying that, he swallowed an illusory form pill and slightly changed his appearance. Okay. Chao Dayuan also changed his appearance, then opened an altar and retreated to the side, waiting for Qin Feiyang to step on the altar before jumping up. Now, he didn't dare to have any thoughts. This person was too scary, as if he could see through everything. Holy Dragon City. It was as prosperous and lively as ever. Although more than 3 years ago, Qin Feiyang ransacked the City Lord mansion and killed the dragon's messenger, the City Lord, and the second commander, because His Highness the Dragon God ordered to block this news, no one knew about it until now. Fenghua Tower. It was actually a restaurant, but it wasn't an ordinary one. In Holy Dragon City, this Fenghua Tower was the most famous and also had a grade. Those who entered the Fenghua brothel were all big shots with reputations and prestige. "Guests, please come in." When Qin Feiyang and Chao Dayuan arrived at the entrance of Fenghua Tower, a waiter immediately came up to them. "We've already made an appointment. 7th floor, 7th room." Chao Dayuan said. The waiter was stunned and smiled, "Okay, I'll bring you two up. No need, I know the place. Chao Dayuan waved his hand. Okay then. Please help yourself. The waiter nodded and went to the next guest. 7th floor. Inside the 7th private room. Two middle-aged men in ordinary clothes sat in front of the coffee table, looking extremely anxious. Why haven't they come yet? Could it be that young lord stood us up? The two of them were Fan Yunzhang and Jiang Dafei, but they had changed their appearances. After all, Jiang Dafei's status in Holy Dragon City was not low. If they came to Fenghua Tower with their real faces, it would definitely attract attention. Stand us up? Don't say it, maybe it's really possible. Our young lord is too hard to predict. Jiang Dafei sighed. In the past 3 years, Jiang Dafei and Fan Yunzhang had a lot of private contact, so they were quite familiar with each other now. Dong! Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. The two of them were stunned and looked at the door at the same time. When they came back to their senses, the two of them hurried over. When Fan Yunzhang opened the door, he saw two unfamiliar faces standing outside. You are? Fan Yunzhang asked with a trace of vigilance. Qin Feiyang said, what do you think? With that, he went straight into the room. Chao Dayuan hurried in as well. Fan Yunzhang and Jiang Dafei looked at each other, closed the door, and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. They did not let down their guard. Qin Feiyang looked around the room. Not only was there a tea room, but there was also a separate dining room and bedroom. The decoration was also very luxurious. Qin Feiyang walked into the tea room and sat beside the coffee table. He looked at Fan Yunzhang and Jiang Dafei, took out a facial restoration pill, and threw it into his mouth. Soon, his true appearance was restored. Greetings, young lord. When the two of them saw him, they immediately knelt down and saluted. And they also took the facial restoration pill and restored their true appearance. Get up. When you see me in the future, you don't need to be so formal. Be casual. Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile. Yes. The two of them got up. Sit down. Qin Feiyang smiled. The two of them hurried over and sat opposite Qin Feiyang. Then Fan Yunzhang picked up the teapot and poured tea for Qin Feiyang. Chao Dayuan was very sensible and stood respectfully behind Qin Feiyang. Young lord, we heard that you like tea very much, so we specially brought some good tea for you to taste. Fan Yunzhang laughed. Qin Feiyang looked at the teacup, picked it up and put it at the tip of his nose. Suddenly, the fragrance of the tea assailed his nostrils. Then, he took another sip, tasted it carefully for a while, nodded and smiled. It's not bitter or astringent, the tea is mellow and mellow. It's indeed good tea. Looking at Qin Feiyang's satisfied expression, the two of them couldn't help but laugh. Don't think that just because you brought some good tea, I will agree to take on that boring task. Tell me, who wants to see me? Qin Feiyang put down the teacup and said lightly. When he scanned the room earlier, he didn't see anyone else. Hearing that, the smile on the two of their faces immediately froze, and they felt extremely helpless. This young lord treated people really well. Easygoing, kind. He didn't put on any airs. But why was he so stubborn? Chapter 2443. Fan Yunzhang said, the person who wants to see you hasn't arrived yet. Hasn't arrived yet? Can't you show some sincerity? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Judging from the way Fan Yunzhang addressed him, he shouldn't be an ancestor. Because the people of the Dragon Slayer Palace would definitely address their ancestors as Di Zun. Wait. Could it be a divine general? Fan Yunzhang took out 6 jade boxes from his interspatial ring and said respectfully, Young master, this is the elixir fire you want. please take a look." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the 6 boxes opened. Then, a wave of hot fire surged out. The entire room seemed to have turned into a big furnace. There was a cluster of elixir fire in each of the 6 boxes. There was a normal elixir fire and a bone-white elixir fire. The 6 clusters of elixir fire gave out different auras. 3 clusters of first-grade elixir fire and 3 clusters of second-grade elixir fire. Not bad. Qin Feiyang nodded with a smile and sent the 6 boxes to the cultivation room in the castle. In this way, the netherworld demonic flame could be upgraded to a 3rd-grade elixir fire. Based on the current situation, when the netherworld demonic flame was upgraded to a 3rd-grade elixir fire, it should be able to refine 9.5 elixir patterns. Because the current netherworld demonic flame could refine 8.5 elixir patterns with a 2nd-grade elixir furnace. Wait a minute. 9.5, then I'll be able to refine a divine-level elixir with just half a elixir pattern? Qin Feiyang mumbled. In other words, when the netherworld demonic flame evolved to a 3rd-grade divine fire and found a 3rd-grade elixir furnace, wouldn't he be able to refine a divine-level elixir? Jiang Dafei. With this thought, Qin Feiyang looked at Jiang Dafei. When he went to the treasure pavilion in Black Stone City, there was no 3rd-grade elixir furnace, so Fan Yunzhang couldn't help. But the Holy Dragon City was different. As the largest city in the north, the Holy Dragon City must have better elixir fires and elixir furnaces. What's wrong, young master? Jiang Dafei looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang asked, "Who is the current city lord of Holy Dragon City?" "I haven't decided yet. I'm trying to get it," Jiang Dafei said. Qin Feiyang was stunned. "You want to be the city lord? Since there is such an opportunity, this subordinate will definitely not let it go." Jiang Dafei laughed. "Young lord, there's something you don't know. Although Brother Jiang is not the city lord yet, he is currently in charge of all the affairs of the city lord's mansion. Actually, I'm no different from the city lord." Fan Yun laughed. "There's still a difference between a substitute and a real city lord. It's a pity that the young lord refused to help. Otherwise, I would have become the city lord by now." Jiang Dafei shook his head regretfully. Fan Yunzhang looked at Qin Feiyang. He wanted to know how Qin Feiyang would react if he heard this. But the result was very disappointing. Qin Feiyang remained indifferent. He looked at the 2 of them indifferently and said, "What's the point of you echoing each other here?" The 2 of them smiled embarrassedly. Indeed, nothing could escape the young lord's eyes. Qin Feiyang said, "Since it's a substitute, I have a certain amount of authority. Help me find a 3rd-grade divine furnace." Jiang Dafei looked at Fan Yunzhang when he heard this, and a smile appeared on his face. Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 of them suspiciously. "Young lord, please take a look." Jiang Dafei waved his hand, and a pill furnace suddenly appeared. Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at the pill furnace suspiciously. The pill furnace was bronze in color, with 3 legs and 2 handles. A fiery red bull was engraved on it, shining with a dazzling treasure light. "This is," Qin Feiyang got up and walked to the pill furnace. This pill furnace was actually a 3rd-grade divine furnace. Old Fan told me long ago that you needed a pill fire and a pill furnace. So when I was free, I went to the treasure pavilion to auction a 3rd-grade divine furnace. Jiang Dafei smiled. Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 of them in a daze. Not bad. Without saying anything, they knew what he wanted. Fan Yunzhang smiled ingratiatingly. "Young lord, we're so considerate of you, aren't we?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He returned to his seat and said, "Everything else is fine, but the task is off the table." So it was premeditated. There was indeed no free lunch in this world. The 2 of them smiled bitterly. This furnace is called the Fire Bull Furnace. You can use it first. When I have enough money, I'll buy a 4th grade or 5th grade divine furnace for you. Jiang Dafei handed the pill furnace to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was stunned and hurriedly said, Holy Dragon City has 4th grade and 5th grade divine furnaces? Of course. But it's very expensive. Jiang Dafei said. How much? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. The 4th grade and 5th grade divine furnaces cost at least 1 trillion divine crystals. Jiang Dafei said. 1 trillion? That's not a lot. You're the acting city lord after all. You don't even have that much divine crystals. Qin Feiyang frowned. When Jiang Dafei heard this, the bitter smile on his face deepened. Young lord, don't forget that the city lord mansion's treasure vault and herb field were robbed by you. Not a single word was left. Let's talk about it later. Even if you didn't rob the treasure vault and herb field, the sect master of the Dragon God Palace wouldn't dare to use them privately. As for Brother Jiang himself, although he used to be the second commander, he relied on his salary to survive and didn't have any savings at all. Fan Yunzhang explained. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He smiled and said, then it's not easy for you guys. Fan Yunzhang shook his head and sighed. We're the lowest members of the Dragon Slayer Palace. It's already not easy to fill our stomachs. Yeah. We can't compare to you, young lord. Jiang Dafei nodded with indescribable bitterness. Based on what you're saying, as the young hall master, I can get whatever I want. Qin Feiyang frowned. We wouldn't dare. The two hurriedly waved their hands. I think that's what you mean. Although both of my ancestors were thearchs of the Dragon Slayer Palace, I've never asked them for a single divine crystal. Everything that I have now was earned by my own hands. Qin Feiyang said. One of his ancestors was Qin Batian and the other was Lu Zhengyang. We know. Jiang Dafei and Fan Yunzhang smiled. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at the two and got up. Since the divine general isn't here yet, I'll go to the castle first. Then, he took the flaming bull cauldron and disappeared. Divine general? Jiang Dafei and Fan Yunzhang looked at each other. Did the young lord think that the divine general wanted to see him? Inside the castle's cultivation room, Qin Feiyang put down the pill furnace and lowered his head to ponder. After a while, Qin Feiyang turned around and walked to the door. He shouted towards the outside, Huolian, come here for a bit. Soon, Fire Lotus walked into the castle and looked at Qin Feiyang. What's the matter? Qin Feiyang asked, how many soul stones and divine crystals do we have now? Too many, I haven't counted. Fire Lotus shook her head. A day outside was 10 years in the castle. Qin Feiyang had been in seclusion for more than 10,000 years, and he had already accumulated a large number of soul stones and divine crystals. Take a rank 1 divine level soul line for example. A rank 1 divine level soul line could produce 10,000 soul stones a year. In other words, a single rank 1 god class soul line had produced more than 120 million soul stones in the past 12,000 years. And now, there were more than 1,000 soul lines in the Black Tortoise world, and there were even rank 2, 3, 4, and 5 soul lines. Calculating carefully, the number of soul stones he had now exceeded 100 billion. Not to mention divine crystals. The annual production of a crystal vein was even higher than soul stones. For example, a rank 1 divine level crystal vein produced 10 times more soul stones a year, 100,000. Then now, he should have more than 1 trillion divine crystals. Hearing these two numbers, Qin Feiyang himself was also shocked. He didn't expect that in just a few years, he would have such a huge amount of wealth. But he knew. This was all thanks to the castle. Without the castle's time formation, 100 billion soul stones? A trillion divine crystals? It was all a dream. Like this. Collect all the soul stones and divine crystals. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and looked at Fire Lotus. What? Give it to Jiang Dafei and Fan Yunzhang? Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang smiled, since they are working for me, I naturally can't treat them unfairly. Fire Lotus frowned, but there's no need to give it all to them. It's okay. Anyway, these crystal veins and soul veins are produced every day. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. All right then. But I still have to keep some soul stones. After all, now, not only you and the white-eyed wolf, but also the big black wolf, the 3 Black Panther brothers, and Li Changhe. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang smiled, do as you see fit. Okay. I'll go collect them now. With that, Fire Lotus turned and left. Qin Feiyang also turned and walked to the altar, taking out the 3 first-grade divine fires. After the netherworld demonic flame devoured them, it directly advanced to a 2nd-grade divine fire. Qin Feiyang tried to use the original 2nd-grade divine furnace to refine a healing pill. As expected. He refined 9 pill veins. Immediately after. Qin Feiyang was looking forward to it. Divine pill. He would be able to refine this kind of legendary elixir immediately. How could he not be excited? He took out the 3 2nd-grade divine fires. When the netherworld demonic flame advanced to a 3rd grade, he would use the fire ox cauldron that Jiang Dafei gave him to refine a healing pill. The level of the pill cauldron and pill fire had both advanced by a level. The divine pill definitely could not run away. But when the healing pill came out, he was stunned. This healing pill actually did not have a dragon-shaped pill chi, but 10 pill veins. 10 pill veins? What was going on? Didn't pills have at most 9 pill veins? Wait. He remembered that Zhao Tailai and the others said that when he opened the door of rebirth and fell into a state of near death, the divine-level guardian fire python came to save him with a divine pill. As for that medicinal pill, there were 10 dragon-shaped core chi. Since there were 10 dragon-shaped pill chi, then the highest number of pill veins should also be 10. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang could not help but smile bitterly. In the past, the alchemists he met, except for his ancestor, none of them could refine divine-level elixirs. And his ancestor did not tell him. So much so that he mistakenly thought that the highest number of pill veins was 9. In that case, if he wanted to refine divine-level elixirs, he had to raise the netherworld demonic flame to a 4th grade. The pill cauldron also had to be a 4th grade. 4th grade, gradually. A trace of a smile appeared on his face. 4th grade divine cauldron and divine fire were nothing to his current financial resources. Moreover, what the netherworld demonic flame needed to devour now was not 4th grade divine fire, but only 3 3rd-grade divine fires. Chapter 2444. This matter couldn't be delayed. He had to let Jiang Dafei and the others deal with it as soon as possible. In the past, Qin Feiyang wasn't so eager. But now, he was just one step away. Everyone was like this. When there was a long way to go, they wouldn't think about it. But when the goal was close at hand, the strong desire was unprecedented. Qin Feiyang was in such a mood now. He couldn't wait to find the alchemy fire and the alchemy furnace and refine a divine-level alchemy furnace. Qin Feiyang left the cultivation room and quickly walked out of the castle. Fire Lotus came up to him. "How is it?" Qin Feiyang asked. Fire Lotus was holding a qiankuan bag in her hand. Looking at Qin Feiyang's anxious look, she couldn't help but shake her head and smile. Then she handed the qiankuan bag to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang grabbed the qiankuan bag and opened it. There was nothing inside, only Qianquan bags. He didn't know how many there were. Not only the divine crystals and soul stones under the herb field, but also the divine crystals and soul stones looted from the city lord's mansion. Fire Lotus said. How many soul stones did we leave? Qin Feiyang asked. About 100 billion. Fire Lotus said. That's enough. Qin Feiyang smiled and appeared in the tea room with the Qianquan bag. Young lord. Jiang Dafei and Fire Lotus immediately bowed. Here you are. Qin Feiyang threw the Qianquan bag to them. Jiang Dafei grabbed the Qianquan bag and checked it. Looking at Qin Feiyang, he asked suspiciously, what's inside? Soul stones, divine crystals. Qin Feiyang sat on the chair and took a sip of tea. What? The two were shocked. How many divine crystals and soul stones were there in so many Qianquan bags? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, you won't lose out if you follow me. That's for sure. We've never doubted young lord's kindness to us. The two of them were so excited that their faces were blooming with smiles. I'm not a saint. Since I've put in so much effort, I'll definitely get something in return. Qin Feiyang said. The two of them were stunned for a moment before replying in unison, please give us your orders. Within an hour, find me 3 grade 3 divine flames and a grade 4 divine furnace. Qin Feiyang said. No problem. With this wealth, it'll be a piece of cake. Wait here, we'll go to the treasure pavilion now. Jiang Dafei patted his chest and made a solemn vow. Then, he dragged Fan Yunzhang toward the door. Right. The person who wants to see you should be here soon. Jiang Dafei turned his head and said something to Qin Feiyang. Then, he opened the door and ran out with Fan Yunzhang happily, closing the door behind him. Chao Dayuan, who was at the side, could only feel envy. Qin Feiyang didn't pay any attention to him. He took out the medicinal pill with 10 veins and played with it while drinking tea. Is this real? Chao Dayuan rubbed his eyes and looked at the elixir in Qin Feiyang's hand. 1. 2. 3. It was actually 10 patterns. Oh my god! How terrifying was this person's attainments in alchemy? The longer he followed Qin Feiyang, the more terrified he felt and the more regretful he felt. He only hated that he was too stupid back then. Dong! About a few hundred breaths passed. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Open the door. Qin Feiyang glanced at the door and said to Chao Dayuan. Chao Dayuan immediately trotted over and opened the door. Immediately, 2 old faces entered Qin Feiyang's line of sight. They were 2 old women. White hair at the temples. Their bodies were bent. They both had a cane in their hands. Chao Dayuan retreated to the side and said, Lords, please come in. The 2 old women walked in, glanced at the private room, and walked directly to the tea room. Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 of them suspiciously. Who was this? Chao Dayuan also closed the door and looked at the 2 old women suspiciously. Their cultivation bases were not very high. They were only at the great god realm. There was no aggressive aura on them. However, when they saw Qin Feiyang sitting leisurely at the tea table and not getting up to greet them, one of the old women couldn't help but feel angry. Swish! Immediately after, the old woman went forward and grabbed Qin Feiyang's face, slapping him and saying, You brat, you're getting bolder and bolder. Seeing that we're here, you still don't get up to greet us? Chao Dayuan looked at this scene in shock. Qin Feiyang himself was also stunned. How could there be such a rude person? Pulling others' ears as soon as he came up. The other old woman shook her head with a wry smile and said, Sister Rushwang, don't be like this. Sister Rushwang? Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at the old woman in surprise. feeling sorry for him. You little girl, you only know how to protect him. The old woman rolled her eyes and then let go of Qin Feiyang's slap. Sitting opposite Qin Feiyang, she looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Why aren't you pouring us tea?" Oh. Qin Feiyang nodded and instinctively picked up the teapot, but suddenly frowned and said angrily, "Why? Don't you have hands?" The old woman looked at Qin Feiyang and said unhappily, "Isn't pouring tea for the elderly the most basic etiquette? Don't take advantage of your seniority." Qin Feiyang snorted and said, "Show your true form." "Guess." The old woman smiled mockingly. "Is there a need to guess?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. The two old women looked at each other and smiled, then took a facial restoration pill. Soon, the two beautiful women appeared in front of Qin Feiyang. It was Qin Rushwang and the mermaid princess. Chao Dayuan, who was standing at the side, was stunned. There was actually such a beautiful woman in this world. Qin Feiyang looked at the two and shook his head. "I really didn't expect that it would be the two of you who came to see me. Am I not welcome?" The mermaid princess said. "Of course." Qin Feiyang stood up and opened his arms. The mermaid princess did not care about Qin Rushwang and Chao Dayuan. She walked forward and hugged Qin Feiyang. "What does this have to do with anything?" Chao Dayuan was dumbfounded. The mermaid princess hugged Qin Feiyang's waist tightly and whispered, "I miss you." "I miss you too." Qin Feiyang nodded, and his eyes were very tender. He asked softly, "How have you been these years?" "Very good. Everyone takes good care of me. Especially the 5 ancestors." The mermaid princess nodded. 5 ancestors? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Why were there so many of them? The first mermaid emperor, the first black-winged emperor, and the first white-winged emperor are all her ancestors. Qin Rushwang said. What about the other 2? Qin Feiyang looked at her suspiciously. Qin Rushwang said, Of course it's my father and uncle Lu Zhengyang. Ancestors? Lu Zhengyang? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Qin Rushwang teased, she will become your wife sooner or later. Your ancestors are her ancestors, aren't they? Ha, Qin Feiyang laughed dryly and said, that's true. Hearing the conversation between the two, the mermaid princess could not help but blush. Qin Feiyang could not help but be mesmerized for a moment. Qin Rushwang coughed dryly and said, let me tell you, don't mess around in public. Even Qin Feiyang's face couldn't help but turn red. All right. Just a hug for a while will do. Let's get down to business. Qin Rushwang said. Qin Feiyang let go of the mermaid princess and pulled the mermaid princess to sit together. He looked at Qin Rushwang and hugged the mermaid princess. He smiled and said, Girl, we really can't show off our love like this in the future. Otherwise, some old people will feel stifled. The mermaid princess burst out laughing. Bastard, who are you calling an old person? Qin Rushwang suddenly stood up, so angry that her cheeks were puffed up. You're still single at this age. According to the secular world, you're already an old leftover woman. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Qin Feiyang. Qin Rushwang gritted her teeth. Sister Rushwang, don't be angry. It's bad for your health. The mermaid princess quickly stood up and comforted her. Keep him in check. Qin Rushwang glared fiercely at Qin Feiyang, and then returned to her seat angrily. The mermaid princess smiled helplessly and looked at Qin Feiyang. Feiyang, we came to you this time because of that mission. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked at the mermaid princess and then at Qin Rushwang, frowning. After all this, you're here to persuade me? Not really. We're here because we miss you too much. This is just a side trip. The mermaid princess said. Only a ghost would miss him. Qin Rushuang snorted. The mermaid princess could not help but laugh. Fei Yang, this mission was actually given to you by our ancestors. You can't let them down. Don't mention it. I'm still very uncomfortable in my heart. Why can you, even Mu Tianyang and the others, go directly to the dragon-slaying palace, but I have to be left outside? Qin Feiyang said. Qin Rushuang frowned and said, Father is doing this for your own good. I admit that. He definitely won't harm me. But think about it. Since we met in the Sea of Sky Dragons, how many words have we spoken to each other? If it were you, would you feel comfortable? Qin Feiyang said. Qin Rushuang smiled helplessly. Alright, it's not like we won't see each other in the future. There's still plenty of time. We'll talk about it later. Although you didn't enter the dragon-slaying palace, our ancestors didn't forget about you. Just like your current status as the young Supreme Lord. It's something that countless people in the dragon-slaying palace dream of. The mermaid princess said. And in order to make you the young Supreme Lord of the dragon-slaying palace, Father and Uncle Lu are under a lot of pressure. Because compared to the other 3 young Supreme Lords, your cultivation is too weak. If you don't do it now, how will Father and Uncle Lu face the others in the dragon-slaying palace in the future? Qin Rushuang said. I know that too. But I'm really busy now. The Black Tortoise world is in the process of growing. I have a lot of things to deal with myself, and I still have to cultivate. How can I have time to care about other things? Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly. The Black Tortoise world is growing? Qin Rushuang and Qin Rushuang looked at him suspiciously. Yes. The Black Tortoise world is now bigger than before. The overall strength of the Black Tortoise world has also increased by several levels. Fortunately, the Fire Lotus has been helping me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have time to cultivate. Qin Feiyang said. The Fire Lotus is still there? The mermaid princess was stunned. Then, she looked at Qin Feiyang meaningfully. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Then, he said in amusement, What's with that look? Qin Rushuang said, Don't you understand? Love grows with time. Shut up. Qin Feiyang glared at her. Wasn't she just blindly making a fuss? Chapter 24:45. The mermaid princess giggled. Actually, you don't have to be so nervous. I don't mind. It's normal for men to have multiple wives. Besides, I'm quite happy to have one more person to help me take care of you. Silly girl. Qin Feiyang flicked her forehead and looked at the 2 girls. Let me think about this mission. No. You have to give us an answer now. Qin Rushuang shook her head. The mermaid princess smiled. And you can't refuse. So you're saying that I still have a choice? Qin Feiyang frowned. No. This is a mission given to us by Father. We have to complete it. The 2 girls said. Qin Feiyang was speechless. Our ancestors are really something. They let you persuade them. Don't blame Father. He's doing this to give you a chance to cultivate your force. This way, you'll have a say in the dragon-slaying palace in the future. I'll tell you the truth. The other 3 young lords are doing the same thing now. Qin Rushuang said. Qin Feiyang was surprised. It's just that they're not in the north. They've entered the Dragon God Palace in the west, south, and east respectively. In short, this is an invisible competition. It's about your position in the dragon-slaying palace in the future. Qin Rushuang said. I see. No wonder Fan Yunzhang said that sometimes, it's better to fight for it. Qin Feiyang whispered. We all know that you're afraid of trouble. But at this time, you can't act according to your temper. Because if you can control the north, not only will it be useful for you, but it'll also be of great help to father. Qin Rushuang said. The mermaid princess nodded. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed and looked at the two. You've come in person. If I still refuse, won't you be sad? All right, I'll reluctantly agree. That's right. Qin Rushuang smiled. Qin Feiyang waved and said, You can go. Go? Qin Rushuang was stunned. Yeah. I've already agreed. Why are you still here? Qin Feiyang said. What a heartless bastard. Qin Rushuang glared at Qin Feiyang, then got up and grabbed the mermaid princess, saying, Sister, let's go. Qin Feiyang hurriedly hugged the mermaid princess. He looked at Qin Rushuang and said, I told you to go alone. Qin Rushuang was stunned and said angrily, Brat, don't go too far. Can't you just understand? We haven't seen each other for so long, of course, you understand. As Qin Feiyang spoke, he gave Qin Rushuang an ambiguous look. Qin Rushuang's face darkened. Don't even think about it before we're married. Your thoughts are so dirty. I just want to be alone with her for a few days. You actually thought of such a thing. It seems that the thinking of old people is still different from us young people. Qin Feiyang joked. Bastard. Qin Rushuang raised her fist and threw it at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang got up and ran. Don't run if you dare. I'd be a fool if I didn't run. Watching the two of them, one running in front and the other chasing from behind, the mermaid princess could not help but shake her head and laugh. Chao Dayuan, on the other hand, was dumbfounded. In his impression, Qin Feiyang was a swift and decisive person who handled matters calmly. He did not expect that there was such a side to him. That's not right. How did your cultivation become so strong? Hold it, hold it. This is unbelievable. You're actually a great perfection paragon. Until then. Qin Feiyang finally noticed Qin Rushuang's cultivation and hurriedly waved his hand. Qin Rushuang slapped Qin Feiyang on the head, her face full of pride. Qin Feiyang looked at Qin Rushuang and then at the mermaid princess. He was stunned. This little girl was also a great perfection paragon. What was going on? Qin Feiyang walked to the mermaid princess and carefully checked. She was really a great perfection paragon. The mermaid princess smiled and said, The dragon-slaying palace has a space divine object. The time formation inside is much more powerful than the ancient castle. How powerful? 10 years in a day? Qin Feiyang was surprised. That's not right. Even if it was 10 years in a day, it couldn't be that fast. Because the ancient castle's time rule was also 10 years in a day, and now, he had just broken through to a consummate divine lord. The mermaid princess said, 50 years in a day. No way. Qin Feiyang was stunned. 50 years in a day? That was 5 times faster than the ancient castle. Chao Dayuan, who was next to him, was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. 50 years in a day, how incredible was that? How is it? It's much better than your ancient castle that takes 10 years in a day. You must be envious. Now, do you regret that you didn't go to the dragon-slaying palace crying and screaming? Qin Rushuang looked at Qin Feiyang mockingly. She also learned about the changes in the ancient castle from the divine general. As for the divine general, she naturally learned about it from Fan Yunzhang. Because Fan Yunzhang had been to the ancient castle, Qin Feiyang also told him about it. Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear to Qin Rushuang's words. 50 years in a day, that was too scary. If the white-eyed wolf knew about it, it would definitely be devastated. Because Qin Rushuang and the others left, the white-eyed wolf was very unhappy. When the ancient castle was unsealed and the time rule changed, it gloated and laughed at Qin Rushuang and the others. But now, it suddenly found out that Qin Rushuang and the others were actually cultivating in a space divine object that lasted 50 years a day. It would definitely go crazy. It was too shocking. It was too unbelievable. The ancient castle really couldn't compare. Qin Rushuang said proudly, "When we break through to the Nine Heavens realm, I guess you'll still be a divine lord." Am I that unbearable? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and asked, "What about old Zhao and the others?" To be honest, he was a little envious. They're definitely stronger than you. They're about to break through to the perfected paragon god level. Especially the blood Kirin. It's already breaking through to the perfected paragon god level. Qin Rushuang said. Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. These guys were also running too fast, right? They already left him a major realm behind. Didn't that mean he had to work harder? He regretted it. Why did he take on this mission in a moment of weakness? Wasn't it a waste of time? Swoosh! Right at this moment, two middle-aged men appeared out of thin air. They were Jiang Dafei and Fan Yunzhang in disguise. The two of them were directly teleported over through the altar. "Greetings, ladies." The two of them immediately bowed when they saw Qin Rushuang and the mermaid princess. "You know us?" Qin Rushuang was surprised. Jiang Dafei said, "The divine general told us." "Of course, we know you." "I see. Then you have to help Feiyang in the future." Qin Rushuang said. As the apple of the Qin Emperor's eye, her status in the Dragon Slayer Palace was naturally quite high. She was even higher than Qin Feiyang, the young master. "We will." The two of them nodded respectfully. Qin Rushuang nodded and fell silent. Jiang Dafei and Fan Yunzhang walked up to Qin Feiyang and said respectfully, "Young master, we did not disappoint you." Then, Jiang Dafei took out 3 iron boxes and a bronze cauldron. Qin Feiyang confirmed and sent the alchemy fire and bronze cauldron to the ancient castle. He looked at the two of them and said with a smile, "Very good. In the future, continue to help me keep an eye on 4th grade divine fires and 5th grade divine furnaces." "Yes." The two of them nodded. Fan Yunzhang looked at Qin Rushuang and Fan Yunzhang and asked, "Young master, what about the mission? 2 influential lobbyists came here. How can I refuse?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. Just as the divine general expected, Fan Yunzhang laughed. Cough, cough. Jiang Dafei quickly coughed. Fan Yunzhang was stunned. Then, his expression changed slightly and he quickly shut his mouth. What the hell? This has something to do with the divine general? Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and frowned. "This," the two of them stammered. "Speak!" Qin Feiyang shouted. "Yes. If you don't accept the mission, the divine general can't do anything. So, he thought of asking the two ladies to persuade you. And he said that it would definitely work." Jiang Dafei lowered his head and said. "Great. You actually followed him and schemed against me behind my back." Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold. The two of them hurriedly said, "Young master, we had no choice. We could only do this." Qin Feiyang glared at the two of them and waved his hand. "Go, go. As for you, Jiang Dafei," the two of them were about to leave, but when they heard Qin Feiyang had something else to say, they stopped and turned to look at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. "The city lord and the second commander are dead. If you still don't have the ability to get the position of the city lord of Holy Dragon City, it means that you're not very capable." Qin Feiyang looked at Jiang Dafei and said. Jiang Dafei's eyes trembled slightly. "Do you understand?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Yes. I'll do my best." Jiang Dafei nodded. How could he not understand when he had made it so clear? If he couldn't get the position of the city lord of Holy Dragon City, he would lose his value. Then, he would have to take back the soul stones and divine crystals that he had given him. He might even lose his life. Qin Feiyang said, "You two can divide the soul stones and divine crystals among yourselves." "Yes." The two of them responded respectfully, then turned and ran out as if they were running for their lives. Qin Rushuang said, "Then we'll be leaving too." Qin Feiyang looked at Qin Rushuang, then at the mermaid princess, and said reluctantly, "Can't you stay with me for a few days? I want to as well. But the ancestor has instructed that we must leave immediately after completing the mission. Because our identities are very sensitive now. If the dragons find out, we'll be in danger." The mermaid princess's face was also full of reluctance. "All right." Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly and said, "Take care of yourself. You too." The mermaid princess nodded and said. Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at Qin Rushuang. He said, "I'll leave her to you. Don't let anyone bully her." "Do I need you to tell me that?" Qin Rushuang rolled her eyes at Qin Feiyang and activated a teleportation altar. "I'm really leaving." The mermaid princess grabbed Qin Feiyang's hand and looked up at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang nodded and reached out to gently tidy up the mermaid princess's messy hair on her forehead. "What are you two doing? It's not like you're parting forever." Qin Rushuang was speechless. She grabbed the mermaid princess and leaped onto the altar. "Be careful." The mermaid princess said worriedly. "I will." Qin Feiyang smiled. Soon, the two of them disappeared. The teleportation altar also disappeared. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed and put away his disappointment. He brought Chao Dayuan and entered the castle. Chapter 2446. Cultivation Room. Qin Feiyang ignored Chao Dayuan, opened the iron box, and took out the 3 third-grade divine fires. The nether devil flame immediately pounced. Boom! The next moment, the nether devil flame's aura soared. "This is..." Chao Dayuan was surprised. What kind of alchemy fire was this? It could actually evolve by devouring other alchemy fires? When the nether devil flame rose to 4th grade, Qin Feiyang immediately used the bronze cauldron to refine pills. The nether devil flame was 4th grade, and the bronze cauldron was also 4th grade. This time, he could definitely refine a divine pill. He was filled with anticipation as he refined a healing pill. Roar! But when the healing pill came out of the cauldron, there was a series of dragon roars. What's going on? Huo Lian, Hua Yi, and He Bao heard the commotion and ran in. They looked at the bronze cauldron in bewilderment and saw an elixir flying out and being caught by Qin Feiyang. Although it was short-lived, they could clearly see that there was a dragon-shaped pill aura on the pill. A divine pill. The 2 men and 3 beasts immediately ran to Qin Feiyang's side and stared at Qin Feiyang's hand. Chao Dayuan was the same. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Why do I see that you guys are more excited than me? Don't talk nonsense, let us see." Hua Yi urged. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and slowly opened his palm. The healing pill immediately appeared in front of everyone's eyes. There was a dragon-shaped pill aura on it, like a real baby dragon. "It's really a divine pill." Chao Dayuan was stunned. This person could actually refine a divine pill. A heaven-defying divine artifact, the dragon-slaying temple's young lord, a divine pill. How many secrets did he have that no one knew? "Boss, you're amazing." The 3 Black Panther brothers were full of admiration. This was the first time they had seen a divine pill in their lives. Hua Yi said in surprise, "I wonder how effective this divine healing pill is." "Isn't it simple? We'll know when we find someone to test it." The three Black Panther brothers looked at Chao Dayuan. Why are you looking at me? Chao Dayuan panicked. Don't panic. This is boss's first time concocting a divine pill. You should feel honored that I'm giving you the first divine pill I've refined. The Black Panther three brothers chuckled and immediately swarmed up, giving Chao Dayuan a good beating. Stop. I don't want this honor. Chao Dayuan roared. You still don't want it? You really don't know what's good for you. The three Black Panther brothers were furious. They became even more ferocious and merciless. Accompanied by a shrill scream, Chao Dayuan was soon beaten black and blue. Even his two arms had been shattered. I'm begging you, stop hitting me. I want it, I want it, I want it, okay? Chao Dayuan shouted weakly. How could there be such a person who didn't want to force others to do it? Wouldn't it have been fine if you had done this earlier? Why do you have to go against us? The three Black Panther brothers pursed their lips. The third Black Panther ran in front of Qin Feiyang and said, Boss, give me the healing pill. Qin Feiyang shook his head with a smile and threw the healing pill to him. The third Black Panther grabbed the healing pill and ran to Chao Dayuan's side, stuffing it into Chao Dayuan's mouth. As soon as the pill entered Chao Dayuan's mouth, his injuries healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even the arms that he had lost were being regenerated. Fire Lotus said in surprise, this effect is not bad. It's almost comparable to the divine pill of life. Yes. Hua Yi nodded and said with a smile, after all, it's a divine pill. The effect is definitely different. The Black Panther said, if it's a divine pill of life, won't such injuries be healed in an instant? Instant recovery is a bit exaggerated. It will take some time more or less. But I believe that 10 divine pills of life can definitely heal in an instant. Fire Lotus said with a smile. 10. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. It was already rare to be able to refine a divine pill with a dragon-shaped divine pill of life, let alone 10. Qin Feiyang, if pills like Chaos Divine Pills and Nirvana Divine Pills are replaced with divine pills, will the effects change? Hua Yi asked curiously. Chaos Divine Pills? Nirvana Divine Pills? Qin Feiyang paused for a moment and shook his head, there's no record of this in the alchemy mantra. After that, he turned around and checked the alchemy mantra. There was indeed no record of such information. Fire Lotus said, since the healing pill has changed, then these pills should also change. I'm not sure about the Chaos Divine Pills. Because the Chaos Divine Pills are used to increase cultivation. But the Nirvana Divine Pills, these pills are used to open the door of potential. I don't think there will be much change. After all, there's only one door of potential in each cultivation level. Qin Feiyang said. Then let's try the Chaos Divine Pills first. Maybe we can break through 2 levels now. Fire Lotus said expectantly. 2 levels. You're dreaming too much. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Fire Lotus said, how will we know if we don't try? All right. I'll try refining 1. Qin Feiyang said. Fire Lotus immediately took out a set of medicinal herbs. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and started to refine pills. Hua Yi, Fire Lotus, and the 3 Black Panther brothers took the initiative to retreat and maintain a distance. As the spiritual liquid of several medicinal herbs was refined one after another, the Chaos Divine Pill was finally out of the furnace. There was also a dragon-shaped pill Qi on it. Who should I try it on? Qin Feiyang asked. Hua Yi said, of course it's you. Here, except for Qin Feiyang, everyone's cultivation had surpassed the Divine Lord level. That's not good. I'm now a consummate Divine Lord. If I can't break through 2 levels, my cultivation will be stuck at the consummate Divine Lord level. Qin Feiyang frowned. Does that matter? Hua Yi was suspicious. Of course it does. A consummate Divine Lord needs 8 billion soul stones to break through to the half-step Supreme God level. A consummate Divine Lord only needs 600,000 soul stones to break through to the consummate Divine Lord level. When I cultivate to the consummate Divine Lord level, I'll take the Chaos Divine Pill and break through to the half-step Supreme God level. It'll save me a lot of time. Qin Feiyang said. That makes sense. Hua Yi nodded and frowned. But the problem is, only you and the white-eyed wolf are divine lords. The black tortoise world has given birth to some divine lords, but we can't let them get such a good pill. Fire Lotus smiled. The white-eyed wolf? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback and patted his head. Yes, let's go find the white-eyed wolf. Immediately. A group of people rushed to the outside of the white-eyed wolf's cultivation room. Dong! Qin Feiyang knocked on the door a few times. Get lost. However, a furious shout could be heard from the inside. Qin Feiyang's face twitched. After being in seclusion for so many years, his temper had changed. He said, "It's me." There was a moment of silence. The stone door slowly opened. The white-eyed wolf finally appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Its fur was golden, and its eyes looked as if they were cast in gold. What was even more surprising was, on its back, there were 2 golden wings. In the middle of the white-eyed wolf's eyebrows, there was a blood-red pattern. They looked like the wings of a fire phoenix. This was the change the white-eyed wolf had after breaking through to the false god level. It was extremely handsome. But until now, Qin Feiyang still didn't know why the white-eyed wolf had become like this. He had asked before, but the white-eyed wolf just kept him in suspense. The white-eyed wolf glanced at Chao Dayuan and the 3 black leopard brothers, picked its nose, and said, "Not bad, you got so many little brothers." "We're little brothers? Then what are you?" It was the first time they had seen the white-eyed wolf. Not only them, but Big Black Wolf and Li Changhe had also never seen the white-eyed wolf in person. Wow! The white-eyed wolf looked at the 3 black leopard brothers in surprise. These 3 guys didn't understand the situation. Who was the boss here? Ahem. Qin Feiyang coughed and looked at the white-eyed wolf. He said, "You've been in seclusion for so long, but your cultivation hasn't improved much. Are you blind? You call a consummate divine lord and not improving?" The white-eyed wolf rolled its eyes. "You've been in seclusion every day. What kind of improvement is that? Look at me. I've been busy, but I've already become a consummate divine lord." Qin Feiyang pouted. "Then why don't you say that you used to be stronger than me? We'll talk about it later. I've already become a peak consummate divine lord, and I'll soon become a consummate divine lord. When the time comes, I'll take a chaos divine pill and become an ultimate god. Kid, take your time to catch up." The white-eyed wolf looked disdainful. "You're about to break through?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Of course. Do you think I've been in seclusion all these years for fun?" The white-eyed wolf snorted. "Fine." Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly and put the Chaos Divine Pill in front of the white-eyed wolf. He said, "Look." "Damn, a divine pill?" The white-eyed wolf was surprised. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "You made it?" The white-eyed wolf asked. "Who else could it be?" Qin Feiyang chuckled. The white-eyed wolf exclaimed, "Little brother, not bad." He actually called boss little brother? Big sister, where did this guy come from? Why do I feel that he's so amazing? The 3 Black Panther brothers looked at Fire Lotus suspiciously. You don't know this, but the white-eyed wolf was the first to follow Qin Dage. I think it was when Qin Dage was 15 years old. They went through fire and water together and never left each other. So, the two of them are very close. Let's put it this way, they're closer than brothers, so don't be presumptuous in front of him in the future. Fire Lotus laughed secretly. I see. The three Black Panther brothers suddenly understood. It seemed that they had one more person to curry favor with. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "This is a Chaos Divine Pellet. Take it, a divine-grade Chaos Divine Pellet can help you break through 2 minor realms." The white-eyed wolf was stunned for a moment and said in surprise, "Are you sure?" "Of course. Based on our relationship, why would I lie to you?" Qin Feiyang's face didn't turn red and his heart didn't skip a beat. He solemnly nodded. Hua Yi, Fire Lotus, and the three Black Panther brothers looked at each other. Why didn't they know that this Chaos Divine Pill could help them break through 2 small realms? Wasn't this deliberately tricking the white-eyed wolf? Sure enough. The closer one was, the easier it was to be tricked. The white-eyed wolf believed it and stuffed the Chaos Divine Pill into his mouth without the slightest doubt. Although he was about to break through to the Perfection Monarch God realm, he still needed some time. Since he could break through directly, why would he waste time cultivating? Chapter 2447. Step back, step back. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and shouted. You're a scammer. If it doesn't break through 2 small realms later, you'll see how it will settle the score with you. Hua Yi gloatingly transmitted his voice. If it didn't break through 2 small realms, the white-eyed wolf's cultivation would naturally stop at Perfect Monarch God. In other words, it was already about to break through to Perfect Monarch God. Once it broke through, it would take the Chaos Divine Pill and step into Half-Step Supreme God. And now, if it couldn't break through 2 small realms after taking the Chaos Divine Pill in advance, then it wouldn't be able to take the Chaos Divine Pill again. In other words, how much time would it waste to cultivate to Half-Step Supreme God step by step? With the white-eyed wolf's character, once it knew that it had been scammed, it would never have a day of peace. Don't gloat. When the time comes, I'll say that you instigated it. Qin Feiyang secretly said. I instigated it? Hua Yi was slightly taken aback, and suddenly he was so angry that he blew his beard and glared. Boom! All of a sudden, the white-eyed wolf's aura rushed out uncontrollably and immediately soared. In less than 5 breaths, its cultivation had successfully stepped into Perfect Monarch God. But its aura didn't stop. It was still soaring. Can it really break through 2 small realms? Qin Feiyang and the others were surprised. In the end, it turned out that this was true. The white-eyed wolf's aura didn't stop at all and crazily soared all the way. Boom! Suddenly, a muffled explosion came from its body. This loud sound was the sound of the shackles between Monarch God and Supreme God being broken. In other words, the white-eyed wolf succeeded. It was also at this moment the white-eyed wolf's soaring aura finally stopped. In a situation like this where it crossed realms, it was impossible to break through directly. After breaking through the shackles, it still needed to cultivate by itself. But it wouldn't take long. For Half-Step Supreme God, it would only take a year and a half. In other words, the white-eyed wolf only needed to cultivate for a year and a half to step into Half-Step Supreme God. A year and a half was nothing to cultivators. Even with the Soul Stone, it would take more than 10,000 years to break through from a perfect Sir God to a Half-Step Supreme God. Compared to over 10,000 years, a year and a half was not even a drop in the ocean. Especially in the castle. It would only take 2 hours. Sure. The white-eyed wolf was extremely excited. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, quickly go and refine the Nirvana Divine Pill. After opening the door of potential, I will go and cultivate. It's really not bad. Qin Feiyang murmured. His heart was filled with excitement. The white-eyed wolf was the best proof. Now, he could boldly consume it and, like the white-eyed wolf, break through to the half-step transcendent God level. Let's go, let's continue refining pills. Qin Feiyang chuckled and turned to enter the cultivation room. A short while later, 2 Nirvana Divine Pills and 1 Chaos Divine Pill came out of the furnace. Both of them had dragon-shaped pill chi. You helped the white-eyed wolf open the door of potential. Qin Feiyang handed a Nirvana Divine Pill to Fire Lotus. Fire Lotus walked out with the white-eyed wolf. Qin Feiyang immediately sat cross-legged on the ground and consumed the Chaos Divine Pill. Hua Yi, the 3 Black Panther brothers, and Chao Dayuan all watched from the side. Boom! Soon, his aura also burst out uncontrollably and soared all the way. I'm so envious. Chao Dayuan muttered. Back then, it took a lot of time to break through to the half-step Sir God level. But now, this man and wolf only used 1 pill to break through 2 small realms. Comparisons are odious. This saying was indeed true. The 3 Black Panther brothers were also filled with emotions. If they didn't follow this person back then, they might not be able to step into the half-step transcendent God level even after a few thousand years. Fate was so wonderful. A single mistake could change the fate of a lifetime. Compared to Chao Dayuan, they were much luckier. This was because the difference in treatment was like the difference between heaven and earth. Boom! Finally, Qin Feiyang's cultivation base broke through to the perfect Sir God level. His aura was still soaring. This feeling of consecutive breakthroughs is so cool. At this moment, Qin Feiyang was especially excited. Because he hadn't experienced this kind of satisfaction brought about by consecutive breakthroughs for a long time. The last time he broke through consecutively was when he took the 9 Chu Yellow Dragon Pill. And the 9 Transformation Dragon Blood Pill, 5 Elements Universe Pill, and 4 Symbols Infinite Divine Pill could only increase his cultivation by 1 small realm. Perhaps, if these 3 pills were exchanged for divine pills, they could probably increase his cultivation base by 2 small realms. But at that time, he couldn't refine divine pills. However, the past was the past. There was no need to regret. Cherish the present. Boom! His aura became stronger and stronger. However, just as he was about to break through the shackles, the soaring aura suddenly stopped. Then his aura receded like the tide. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Hua Yi, the 3 Black Panther brothers, and Chao Dayuan also looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. What was going on? Could it be that the breakthrough failed? But it was impossible. The white-eyed wolf had succeeded before. Hua Yi asked, Qin Feiyang, is there a problem somewhere? How would I know? Qin Feiyang frowned and sensed the energy in his body, only to find that the energy of the Chaos Divine Pill had already dissipated. Did he really fail? But that wasn't right. Didn't the white-eyed wolf break through 2 small realms in a row? Could it be because the white-eyed wolf is about to break through to the perfect Divine Lord realm, so the energy of the Chaos Divine Pill is just enough for him to break through to the half-step Divine Lord realm? Hua Yi frowned. It doesn't make sense. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Because the energy of the Chaos Divine Pill had not been used up. In other words, success or failure had nothing to do with energy or cultivation. Could it be luck? He couldn't be so unlucky. Whoa! At this time, there was a deafening wolf howl outside. Qin Feiyang got up and walked out of the cultivation room. He saw that the white-eyed wolf had already broken through the Divine Lord realm and successfully opened the door of potential. When they saw Qin Feiyang, the Fire Lotus and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. What was going on with his cultivation? Why did he stop at the perfect divine Lord realm? He failed. Hua Yi smiled helplessly. Failed? How is that possible? Didn't he just say that he would definitely break through 2 small realms? The white-eyed wolf looked at Hua Yi and said. He lied to you. Before this, he didn't know the effect of the divine-level chaos divine pill at all. Hua Yi said. He didn't know? Then isn't he using me as a lab rat? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. Ahem. Hua Yi coughed dryly and nodded. That's a bit of it. Little Qin Zi, you bastard. The white-eyed wolf suddenly burned with anger and rushed toward Qin Feiyang with bared fangs and brandished claws. Hua Yi had a face full of schadenfreude. But suddenly, the white-eyed wolf braked and stopped, looking at Qin Feiyang. What's going on? He actually held back and didn't make a move. This isn't the white-eyed wolf's character. Hua Yi muttered. The white-eyed wolf suddenly grinned and also gloated. Screw him then. Anyway, I've already succeeded. It doesn't matter. And from this incident, it proves that my character is better than his. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. Are you jealous? Jealous? Hate? Huh, you want to screw me over, but in the end, you screwed yourself over. You can slowly be annoyed. I'm going to cultivate. Bye. The ingrate smiled mischievously at Qin Feiyang. Then, he walked with small steps while humming a little tune. He proudly entered the cultivation room. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. There was no other way. This guy should be showing off. Who told him to fail? But what was going on? Qin Feiyang couldn't figure out the reason for his failure. It couldn't be because of his character. It seemed that his character wasn't that bad. No. I have to find out the reason. Qin Feiyang muttered and looked at Fire Lotus. Girl, give me 10 sets of herbs and then go to the Black Tortoise world to find 10 Sir Gods. I want to try. Okay. Fire Lotus shook her head and smiled. She took out 10 sets of herbs and handed them to Qin Feiyang. Then, she turned and left the castle, disappearing. Qin Feiyang also entered the cultivation room and started refining pills. Not long later, Fire Lotus returned with 10 people. There were men and women, old and young. Their cultivation was all at the half-step Sir God level. In the Black Tortoise world, a half-step Sir God was already considered a top expert. Therefore, their status in the Black Tortoise world was not low. But at this moment, standing in the castle hall, their eyes were filled with fear. Wasn't this the Devil's Land? Why was there not only an astonishing medicinal field here, but also an ancient castle? Duh. Along with the sound of footsteps, Qin Feiyang and his group walked out of the cultivation room. The 10 people were shocked. They couldn't see through the cultivation of these people. No wonder Pai Lupi and Theta Wang ordered that no one was allowed to enter the Devil's Land. It turned out that there was such a terrifying group of people hidden there. Wait. He seems familiar. Suddenly, the 10 of them stared at Qin Feiyang with a trace of suspicion in their eyes. It's him. Qin Feiyang who destroyed the Vanga League and Fengtian Palace back then. One of the old men exclaimed. Actually, to the Black Tortoise world, the name Qin Feiyang was not unfamiliar. Because not only had Qin Feiyang wandered in the Black Tortoise world back then, he had also been seen when the Gate of Rebirth was opened and the living beings in the Black Tortoise world were revived. In the Black Tortoise world, Qin Feiyang was a legend. However, no one in the Black Tortoise world knew that Qin Feiyang was the master of the Black Tortoise world. They also didn't know that the divine treasures and divine items that suddenly appeared in these years were given to them by Qin Feiyang. Hello. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The 10 people's faces were full of panic. Don't be afraid. I didn't ask you to come here to hurt you. On the contrary, I'm here to give you good fortune. Qin Feiyang chuckled. With a wave of his hand, 10 chaos divine pills appeared. Dragon-shaped core energy. They're all divine pills. The 10 people were shocked. In the ancient world, divine pills were rare, let alone in the Black Tortoise world. In the eyes of the living beings in the Black Tortoise world, divine pills were legendary items. And now, 10 divine pills appeared at once. One could imagine how big of an impact it would have on them. Each of you will take one now. Qin Feiyang smiled. Is there such a good thing? The 10 people were stunned and their eyes became vigilant. Who knew what kind of pill it was? What if it was poisonous? Hurry up. Or we'll kill you. The 3 Black Leopard brothers released their auras and ferocious auras. They were all half-step to the divine realm. Their auras were no doubt comparable to the might of the heavens to the 10 half-step divine lords. The 10 people's eyes trembled. They could only bite the bullet and stuff the pills into their mouths. Chapter 2448. What attitude? This kind of good fortune is something that others can't even ask for. Now that it's in front of them, they still look like they are guarding against thieves. They don't know what's good for them. The 3 Black Leopard brothers snorted coldly. You can't blame them. If it were you and someone suddenly came and gave you a divine pill, you would definitely suspect that the other party has ulterior motives. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Before his voice faded, the aura of the 10 people broke out of their bodies uncontrollably. This is... The 10 people were bewildered. Why did they feel that their cultivation was increasing? In less than 10 breaths, the 10 people stepped into the initial stage of Lord God one after another. Breakthrough? How is this possible? I just broke through to the half-step Lord God a few days ago. I'm about the same. I just broke through to the half-step Lord God half a year ago. What kind of divine pill is this? It actually has such a heaven-defying ability? The 10 people were bewildered, feeling as if they were dreaming. It was too unreal. Following closely, they were shocked to find that their aura was still rising, as if they could break through to the initial stage of Lord God. Qin Feiyang looked at the 10 people without blinking. But suddenly, the aura of 8 of them stopped rising. Obviously, they had all failed. How could this be? Qin Feiyang frowned and looked at the other 2, a trace of surprise in his eyes. The soaring aura of the 2 did not seem to have any signs of stopping. Boom! After a few breaths, the 2 broke through and stepped into the initial stage of Lord God. At this time, their aura calmed down. Breaking through 2 small realms in a row? Oh my God! Are we dreaming? The 2 looked at each other in disbelief. Plop! Suddenly, the 2 knelt on the ground and looked at Qin Feiyang, saying gratefully, "Thank you for the good fortune bestowed by young Master Qin. We will remember it forever. We are willing to serve young Master Qin." Seeing this, the other 8 people also hurriedly knelt on the ground to thank him. The Black Leopard boss was stunned and said, "You can't be thinking that the boss gave you good fortune because he wants you to serve him? Isn't it?" The 10 people looked at him suspiciously. "You must be joking. What can you do for boss with your little cultivation? I gave you these pills purely to test their efficacy." Black Panther said disdainfully. Using divine pills to test the efficacy of the medicine? The 10 of them looked at each other. One had to know. This was a divine pill. Giving it to them just like that? He was too willful. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered. Out of 10 people, 8 failed and 2 succeeded. In other words, there was a probability. Could it be? Qin Feiyang abruptly raised his head and looked at the 10 people. Fire Lotus asked, "What did you think of?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. With a wave of his hand, the 10 of them disappeared, sent out of the Devil's Land. Based on my speculation, not everyone can succeed in the second minor realm. There is a certain probability. Qin Feiyang looked at Fire Lotus and the others and said, "Probability?" Everyone was stunned. Yes. In the past, the success rate depended on the pill veins. The more veins there are, the higher the success rate. 10 veins can increase the first minor realm with a 100% success rate. And the second minor realm, I think it has something to do with the dragon-shaped pill veins. The more dragon-shaped pill veins there are, the higher the success rate of the second minor realm. Qin Feiyang said. Hearing this, everyone began to ponder. Fire Lotus said, "You mean, a Chaos Divine pill with dragon-shaped pill veins only has a 10% chance of increasing the second minor realm?" Yes. In fact, it's the same as the pill veins in the past. The more dragon-shaped pill veins there are, the higher the success rate of the second minor realm. If there are 10 dragon-shaped pill veins, I believe that the Chaos Divine pill can definitely increase the second minor realm. Qin Feiyang said. Hua Yi nodded and said, "It seems that this is the only explanation that makes sense." What about the Nirvana Divine pill? When you helped White-Eyed Wolf open the door of potential, was there any difference? Qin Feiyang looked at Fire Lotus and asked suspiciously. I didn't find anything different. However, compared to when Big Black Wolf and Black Panther opened the door of potential, it seemed to be a little easier. It doesn't seem to be that painful. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang pondered and said, maybe this is the effect of the divine-level Nirvana Divine pill. It's easier to open the door of potential than before. Hua Yi grinned and said, after talking for so long, it's still your bad luck. Qin Feiyang's body stiffened. The White-Eyed Wolf succeeded, and 2 others succeeded just now. Doesn't this prove that your luck is bad? Hua Yi joked. That's enough. Qin Feiyang glared at him. What did this have to do with his luck? At most, he was just a little unlucky. Hua Yi patted Fire Lotus's shoulder and chuckled. Look, you're almost angry from embarrassment. Fire Lotus couldn't help but laugh. Sigh. Qin Feiyang let out a long sigh helplessly. He really couldn't figure it out. How could his luck be worse than the White-Eyed Wolf's? Logically speaking, a shameless guy like the White-Eyed Wolf should be extremely unlucky. Had the world changed? That's right. The world must have changed, and he could only admit that he was unlucky. Huff, Qin Feiyang let out a long breath, looked at Fire Lotus and said, Girl, let me see those legendary level artifact and divine arts. Fire Lotus nodded, and with a wave of her pure white hand, 5 holy artifact S and 4 jade strips appeared. Qin Feiyang had a deep impression of one of the 5 holy artifact S. It was the black sword that was sealed inside the ice mountain. At that time, in order to snatch this holy artifact, Shenrong had tried to sneak an attack on the youth, but the youth had killed him instead. The other 4 legendary level holy artifact S were a flaming long blade and 3 black battle axes. Boss Black Panther swept his gaze across the 5 holy artifact S, and finally looked at the 3 battle axes. He laughed and said, Boss, I think that these 3 battle axes are very suitable for us 3 brothers. What do you mean by suitable? It's a perfect match for us. Black Panther's second brother and third brother roared as they stared at the 3 battle axes, their eyes filled with desire. Are you the only ones who talk too much? Fire Lotus stared at them. The 3 Black Panther brothers laughed embarrassedly. Qin Feiyang glanced at the 3 Black Panther brothers, shook his head and laughed, and said, Take it. What? The three Black Panther brothers were stunned. Take it? Did they hear wrongly? What are you still standing there for? You don't want it? Fire Lotus was speechless. Think about it. The three Black Panther brothers quivered and immediately rushed forward. Each of them grabbed a battle axe and quickly dripped blood to bind it to them, as if they were afraid that someone else would snatch it away. Originally, Qin Feiyang wanted to let Fire Lotus send these holy artifacts to the divine treasury, but after thinking about it, the three Black Panther brothers had done their best in the Black Tortoise world these years, so he might as well give them to them. How can this emperor be left out when dividing up the holy artifacts? At this time, accompanied by a roar, the big black wolf ran out of a cultivation room on the second floor and rushed in front of Qin Feiyang. Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan also walked out of the cultivation room one after another, but they were not as energetic as the big black wolf. The two stood by the corridor on the second floor, looking at the people below. Their expressions were very calm. But if one looked closely, one would find that there was a trace of desire in their eyes. The big black wolf glanced at the black sword and the flaming long blade, then looked up and stared at Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan, saying, "You two are not allowed to fight with me." Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan looked at each other and could not help but smile bitterly. They did not seem to have said anything, so why were they being treated as competitors? The big black wolf withdrew his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang with a pitiful expression. He said, "Big brother, I have followed you through life and death. Even if I didn't contribute, I still worked hard. Even the three Black Panther brothers had a share. You can't forget me." That pitiful look was just short of tears. Qin Feiyang's face darkened, and with a wave of his hand, the black sword and flaming long blade swept in front of Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan like lightning. Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan were stunned. The big black wolf was also taken aback. He glanced at the two god weapons and cried out anxiously, "Big brother, you can't do this to me. I'm extremely loyal to you. Heaven and earth can be my witness." Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead and said helplessly, Okay, I won't forget you." Hearing this, the big black wolf frowned and said, "The holy artifacts have been divided, what else can you give me? The holy artifacts are gone, you can find them later." Qin Feiyang was helpless. "Then how long do I have to wait?" The big black wolf felt wronged. Li Changhe glanced at the big black wolf, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Young master, why don't you give them to the big wolf first?" Yes. The big black wolf immediately became spirited. It nodded repeatedly at Qin Feiyang as if it was pounding garlic. "No need. You two take them," Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile. Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan looked at each other and gladly took them. Li Changhe chose the black sword, and Wang Daoyuan chose the flaming long blade. "I can give you the holy artifacts, but not the holy techniques. Because mastering too many holy techniques may not be a good thing for you." Qin Feiyang looked at the three Black Panther brothers and Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan. "Qin Dage is right. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Fully comprehend the holy techniques you have, it will be enough for you to use for the rest of your life." Fire Lotus said. "Understood." Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan and the three Black Panther brothers nodded. In fact, in this world, no matter what holy technique it was, there was room for improvement. More might not necessarily be better. The key was the essence. If one studied a deity art thoroughly and worked hard to raise its level, it could still become a terrifying and peerless killing technique in the end. "Big brother," the big black wolf really cried. "Enough. I don't want to give it to you now because I want to find you a better holy artifact." Qin Feiyang was helpless. "Better?" The big black wolf was slightly stunned and said, "Isn't that a heaven-defying holy artifact? Are you willing to give it to me?" A better holy artifact might not be a heaven-defying holy artifact. Even if they are all legendary holy artifacts, there are differences in strength. And their abilities are different. So don't worry, the divine land is so big, you will definitely find a holy artifact that suits you. Qin Feiyang comforted. Okay. The big black wolf nodded. That's right. Qin Feiyang smiled and turned to look at Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan, saying, there is actually a reason why I gave you holy artifacts first. The two looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, I need you to help me complete the task of replacing the city lord. I see. The big black wolf suddenly understood. Replacing the city lord of a major city was not a small matter, and the process would definitely involve countless risks. Once exposed, they would even be hunted down by the dragons. That was why Big Brother gave them holy artifacts first, so that they would have enough strength and the ability to protect themselves. This time, the big black wolf had no complaints in his heart. The task was more important. Chapter 2449. However, when Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan heard this, their expressions were a little awkward. Is there a problem? Qin Feiyang asked. Young master, since you take care of us so much, we will help you share the burden. But I'm afraid that my ability is limited and I can't do it. Li Changhe said. It's fine for ordinary small cities, but the city lords of those large cities are stronger than us. I'm really worried that not only will we not be able to help, but we will also bring you a lot of trouble. Wang Daoyuan also nodded. It's good to know your own limits, but you have to have confidence in yourself. Of course, I won't let you go alone. I will let Jiang Dafei help from the side. With his help, there shouldn't be a problem. But if you really encounter a problem that you can't solve, don't act rashly. Send me a message and I'll solve it. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, his eyes filled with encouragement. All right. We'll do our best. The two of them looked at each other and nodded heavily at Qin Feiyang. Then how long will it take for you to break through to the initial stage of the Nine Heavens realm? Qin Feiyang asked. I'm about to break through. Because as early as 10,000 years ago, I had already broken through to the initial stage of the Nine Heavens realm. Li Changhe said. I'm almost there too. At most, 2,000 or 3,000 years. Wang Daoyuan said. Qin Feiyang laughed, 2,000 or 3,000 years, it's only 200 or 300 days outside, it's very fast, go and cultivate in seclusion. Yes. The two of them respectfully replied and turned to enter the cultivation room. Qin Feiyang also entered the cultivation room to check the 4 legendary level divine arts. The 4 divine arts were Heavenly Dragon's 9 steps, Bright King's golden body, Fire and Thunder divine art, and divine armor. Heavenly Dragon's 9 steps was an auxiliary type of divine art, but it also had an extremely strong destructive power. A total of 9 steps. Each step was stronger than the previous one. When the last step was taken, it could summon a heavenly dragon that could destroy the heavens and earth. The Bright King golden body was similar to Mu Tianyang's fiend god body. It was a life-saving divine art. When one's life was on the line, activating the Wisdom King's golden body would allow one to block a fatal attack. The Fire Thunder divine art was a pure killing technique. Using fire to condense divine lightning. After fully comprehending it, one would be able to summon the lightning pool, which would send down an endless amount of fire and lightning. It possessed the power to destroy the world. As for the heavenly deity armor, this was a purely defensive divine art. Just like the battle symbol formula, it could transform into armor to protect its owner. However, compared to the heavenly deity's armor, fire and lightning divine technique, Heavenly Dragon's 9 steps, the Bright King's golden body was a little more powerful. This was because the Bright King's golden body could block a fatal blow from an expert who was a whole realm higher than him. In other words, given Qin Feiyang's current level of cultivation as a perfect god sovereign, if he activated his golden body of the Bright King, he would be able to block a full-force blow from a perfect god sovereign without dying. However, once his opponent surpassed the Great Circle Paragon level, the Bright King golden body would be rendered useless. Furthermore, there was also a limit to the Wisdom King golden body. It could only be activated once a day. Although there were restrictions, it was indeed a rare life-saving secret technique. Immediately, Qin Feiyang began to meditate in seclusion. 1 year. 2 years. 3 years, time passed quietly. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed in the ancient castle. Qin Feiyang had finally mastered 4 legendary divine arts. But he had only mastered them. If he wanted to comprehend the true meaning behind them, he would still need a lot of time. But at least now, he had a few more trump cards in his hands. 10 years in the ancient castle was only 1 day outside. Qin Feiyang did not stay any longer. After changing his appearance, he left the ancient castle with Chao Dayuan and appeared in the private room. A day passed. The waiter of the Fenghua restaurant had not come to the private room even once. Because it was normal for ordinary people to stay in the restaurant for 10 days to half a month, let alone 1 or 2 days. Qin Feiyang did not continue to stay in the Fenghua restaurant. After paying the bill, he returned to the Dragon God Palace. The journey was very smooth. When Chao Dayuan passed by the square, Yizhong did not ask. However, when Qin Feiyang returned to the valley, he saw a snow python lying by the pool in the valley. As for the young man, he was still lying on the snow python's head with a stalk of green foxtail grass in his mouth. His hands were resting on his head as he closed his eyes and dozed off. The clothes on his body were tattered. At first glance, one would think that he was a little beggar. Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment. He took an illusory form pill and changed back to Li Bu-er's appearance. His cultivation was still suppressed to the level of a war god. He looked at the young man and smiled. "When did you come?" The young man slowly opened his eyes, glanced at Qin Feiyang, and said, "You came early in the morning. You're quite busy, you disappeared early in the morning. I'm different from you. You're the law enforcement hall master the moment you enter. You can have anything you want. As for me, I have to rely on my own efforts." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "It's quite sour." The young man chuckled, sat up, and asked, "Are you interested in going to the law enforcement hall?" "Go to the law enforcement hall?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Yes. The people in the law enforcement hall are all too bored, so I want to find an acquaintance to go to the law enforcement hall to chat with this young master." "This young master thought about it, and it seems that you're the only person I'm slightly familiar with. That's why I came to find you." The young man said. "Where would I have the time to chat with you?" Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. He was too busy with his own matters. Besides, he came to the Dragon God Palace for a mission, not to play. The young man was slightly stunned. Obviously, he did not expect Qin Feiyang to refuse, and said, "This opportunity is very rare. Forget it. I still prefer to stay here and cultivate quietly." Qin Feiyang shook his head. This person's background was unknown. It was best to keep a distance. "All right." The young man waved his hand and gently stomped his foot. The snow python lying on the ground immediately rose into the air. "Wait." Qin Feiyang suddenly stopped the young man and asked, "How did you and Longzuan resolve it?" "Not much. I just returned the divine stone of fate to her, and then she ignored me." The young man said. "That simple?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "How complicated do you think it is?" The young man asked. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. People with strength are indeed different. But, is it really just that? The young man did not pay attention to Qin Feiyang anymore. The snow python carried the young man and rushed into the sky and quickly disappeared. Chao Dayuan on the side retracted his gaze and muttered, "Why do I feel that there's something wrong with this young man?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked, "What's wrong? He's such a strong person, but he actually came to find you and even waited for so long just to find someone to chat with? Isn't he bored?" Chao Dayuan said. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, maybe he really feels bored. He didn't believe that this young man had any intentions towards him. Because in the Dragon God Palace, except for Chao Dayuan, no one knew his true identity. Buzz! Suddenly, the image crystal rang. Qin Feiyang frowned, entered the cave and took out the image crystal. Two shadows quickly appeared. It was Jiang Dafei and Fan Yunzhang. Qin Feiyang was stunned, looked at Fan Yunzhang and said, "Why are you still in Holy Dragon City? It's not easy to come to Holy Dragon City, of course I have to play for a few more days." Fan Yunzhang laughed. Qin Feiyang was speechless, and said indifferently, "Speak, what are you looking for me for?" Fan Yunzhang's face turned solemn and said, "Young master, the mission is here." Qin Feiyang immediately raised his eyebrows and said angrily, "What other mission is there?" Jiang Dafei said, "Of course it's the mission to enter the Dragon God Palace." "Speak." Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly. If he had known that there would be so many troubles in the Divine Land, he would have hidden in the northern region to cultivate. It was all his own fault. Why did he come here in such a hurry? These two missions are very difficult, you have to be mentally prepared. First of all, the first mission is to get the Dragon God Palace's Stone of Destiny. Jiang Dafei said. Stone of Destiny? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said angrily, "Why didn't you say so earlier?" Jiang Dafei smiled sheepishly. "We only just received the order." What a pain in the ass. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. "What's wrong?" The two looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. "If you had told me from the beginning, I might have already gotten the Stone of Destiny from that young man. But now, he has returned the Stone of Destiny to the Dragon God Palace." Qin Feiyang said. Although the young man might not give it to him, it was still easier than snatching it from the Dragon God Palace. Hearing this, Fan Yunzhang and Jiang Dafei looked at each other and smiled helplessly. Qin Feiyang said helplessly, "Since you said the first mission, there must be a second one. Tell me quickly." Jiang Dafei said, "The second mission is to persuade Yizhong to join the dragon-slaying palace." Persuade Yizhong? Join the dragon-slaying palace? Qin Feiyang was stunned and said angrily, "Are you kidding me? The Dragon God Palace was created by Yizhong. From this, it can be seen how loyal he is to the dragons. How can we persuade him to join the dragon-slaying palace? It's best if we can persuade him. Because Yizhong is too strong, comparable to the 4 sovereigns of the dragon-slaying palace. If he joins, the strength of the dragon-slaying palace will increase several times. If we can't persuade him, we can control or kill him. In short, if he can't be used by us, we have to get rid of him." Jiang Dafei said. "Control? Get rid of him?" Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. He looked at Jiang Dafei angrily and said, "If you have the ability, then do it." "If I had the ability to do so, would I still need to trouble you, young lord?" Jiang Dafei smiled bitterly. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes, shook his head, and sighed, "This is an impossible mission. We know it's difficult. But we believe that you can do it, young lord." The two of them laughed. "Do you really think I'm an omnipotent god?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. It could be said that persuading Yi Zhong to join the dragon-slaying palace was countless times more difficult than snatching the divine stone of fate. They really knew how to give him problems. Wait. Qin Feiyang suddenly raised his eyebrows and looked at the two of them. The other three young lords also have the same mission? Yes. So, you have an innate advantage. Because Yi Zhong is now in the Dragon God Palace in the north. The pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. The two of them laughed. Come on. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. It was obviously a big trouble, and the pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first? What a nice way to put it. I've told you the mission. Take your time to plan. After the two of them finished speaking, the shadows disappeared. Because they had a hunch that if they continued, the young lord would probably fly into a rage. Chapter 2450. Qin Feiyang also put away the image crystal and leaned against the wall with his eyebrows tightly knitted together. Chao Dayuan, who was beside him, was even more frightened. He didn't expect that the Dragon Slayer Palace would give Qin Feiyang such a task. Let's talk about the Stone of Destiny first. That was the thing that controlled the lives of everyone in the Dragon God Hall. Controlling the Stone of Destiny was equivalent to controlling the Dragon God Hall. For the Stone of Destiny, even Longzuan came in person, which showed how important the Stone of Destiny was. Then there was Yi Zhong. Whether it was strength or status, this person was one of the top in Divine Land. They actually wanted to persuade him to join the Dragon Slayer Palace. Even the Dragon Slayer Palace already had the intention to get rid of him. Terrifying. Really terrifying. Ever since he followed Qin Feiyang, he encountered more and more terrifying things. He was on tenterhooks every day. Phew. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang took a deep breath. Chao Dayuan immediately looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "You're not really going to accept this task, are you? Otherwise?" Qin Feiyang glanced at him and said, "Although there are two tasks, it's actually only one." "What do you mean?" Chao Dayuan was stunned. "The Stone of Destiny should be in Yi Zhong's hands now, so as long as we can persuade him to join the Dragon Slayer Palace, the Stone of Destiny will naturally be in our hands," Qin Feiyang said. Chao Dayuan frowned and said, "Not necessarily, maybe Longzuan took it back." "That's better," Qin Feiyang said with a smile. "What do you mean?" Chao Dayuan was puzzled. If Longzuan really took back the Stone of Destiny, it means that Longzuan doesn't trust Yi Zhong very much. And this is our chance. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Understood. Chao Dayuan nodded. If Longzuan really didn't trust Yi Zhong, then this was a breakthrough. As long as they tried to reason with Yi Zhong, they might be able to convince him. Qin Feiyang said, "The young man shouldn't have gone far. Go and ask him who has the divine stone of fate." "All right." Chao Dayuan nodded. "Remember, don't try anything funny, or you won't be able to bear the consequences," Qin Feiyang warned. "How would I dare to have any thoughts now?" Chao Dayuan smiled bitterly. Qin Feiyang said, "All right then, go quickly and come back quickly." After saying that, he entered the castle. Chao Dayuan glanced at the place where Qin Feiyang disappeared, then turned around and dashed out of the cave. However, just as Chao Dayuan was about to leave the cave, Qin Feiyang appeared again. He activated the concealment art and followed Chao Dayuan out. When he left the cave and soared into the sky, he immediately saw the snow python. The snow python was slowly flying towards the depths of the Dragon God Palace. The young man sat on the head lazily, admiring the scenery below. Chao Dayuan was also looking at the young man and the snow python at this moment. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and looked at Chao Dayuan, frowning slightly. Why didn't he chase after it? Chao Dayuan didn't notice Qin Feiyang and seemed to be deep in thought. So what if it's a heaven-defying divine artifact? So what if it's the Dragon Slayer Palace? In front of the dragons, it's still an ant. Following the dragons is the wisest choice. Suddenly, Chao Dayuan muttered and lowered his head to look at the cave. A cold smile flashed in his eyes, then he turned around and looked at the entrance square. Then, he activated a teleportation altar. Sigh. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. He stepped forward, grabbed Chao Dayuan, and disappeared without a trace. In the castle. Looking at the disappointed Qin Feiyang standing opposite him, Chao Dayuan's face was full of panic. What's going on? Didn't this person come to the castle before? Originally, I thought I could trust you now, but I didn't expect you to still want to betray me. Qin Feiyang sighed. No, no. Chao Dayuan hurriedly waved his hand. Then why did you activate the altar? And just now, those words you said to yourself, don't tell me you were talking in your sleep. Qin Feiyang said. I was wrong. Please give me another chance. Chao Dayuan's body stiffened. He hurriedly knelt on the ground and begged. What's wrong? At this time, Hua Yi and Fire Lotus ran in and looked at this scene in confusion. Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and shook his head. Sure enough, people who are not under my control can never be trusted. Hearing this, the two of them understood. Chao Dayuan was even more panicked. He wanted to go to Yizhong to inform him and thought that there would be no problem. Because he saw Qin Feiyang go to the castle with his own eyes. Moreover, after this period of time together, he also felt that Qin Feiyang had begun to trust him. But he never thought that this person would be so cautious and be caught red-handed. There is a good saying, cleverness can be a mistake, and you are such a person. You are not qualified to play tricks in front of me. Killing intent flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. Don't, I was really wrong, please, just give me another chance. I promise, I won't dare to do it again, I beg you, Chao Dayuan begged again and again. His head also kept hitting the ground hard, making a loud bang sound. After a few hits, the skin on his forehead was lacerated and blood flowed out. But no one sympathized with him. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, since you did something wrong, you have to pay the price. Kill him. Fire Lotus nodded and slapped Chao Dayuan's head. Bastard, I'll fight it out with you. Chao Dayuan was so angry that he went crazy. He suddenly stood up and hugged Qin Feiyang, and a destructive aura immediately rushed out from his body. You still want to self-destruct? Fire Lotus laughed sarcastically, his 5 fingers were like eagle claws, grabbing onto Chao Dayuan's head and squeezing it hard. Ah! With a mournful scream, Chao Dayuan's head immediately exploded like a watermelon. Following that, Fire Lotus waved his hand again, divine power surged out, and his body was also destroyed. What a pity! Qin Feiyang looked at the bloodstains on his body and shook his head. This bloodstain was naturally from Fire Lotus squeezing Chao Dayuan's head and splashing it on his body. Hua Yi said disdainfully, it's just an ant, what's there to pity? If he could be more obedient, I might even give him some benefits. It's good now. His life is gone. In the future, when I go in and out of the Dragon God Palace, I have to find other people. It's really troublesome. Qin Feiyang shook his head and walked out of the castle. He went to the courtyard to wash off the bloodstains on his body, and then changed into a clean set of clothes. Hua Yi suddenly said, Qin Feiyang, let me go out for a stroll. After being in seclusion for so long, my bones are about to rust. You? Qin Feiyang was stunned. What's wrong? Can't I? At least now, I'm also at the initial stage of the imperishable realm. It's just a dragon god temple. It's like my own backyard. Hua Yi smiled disdainfully. But Yizhong, Qin Feiyang frowned. Yizhong's specific cultivation was still unknown. What if he was stronger than Hua Yi? If he was discovered, Hua Yi would be in danger. Don't worry. I will avoid him. Don't you want to loot the Dragon God Palace? I'll go check the situation for you first. Hua Yi smiled mischievously. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed, saying, "All right then, go find that youth and ask him who has the divine stone of fate." Youth? Hua Yi was stunned, saying, "I haven't seen him before. What does he look like?" Qin Feiyang waved his hand and condensed the youth's image, saying, "He is now the hall master of the enforcement hall. He is also very strong, on par with Yizhong." Got it. Hua Yi nodded and swallowed an illusory form pill, turning into Chao Dayuan's appearance. His cultivation was also suppressed to the same level as Chao Dayuan. Good. That's even more perfect. Qin Feiyang chuckled and sent Hua Yi out. Qin Dage, the divine stone of fate has fallen into the hands of Long Zun and Yizhong. Will they find out that you have broken the fate contract? Fire Lotus asked. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, as long as they don't deliberately investigate, they shouldn't find out. After all, there are so many people in the Dragon God Palace. Fire Lotus said worriedly, but what if they investigate? We'll see then. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Now that he knew what the mission was, he didn't care too much about it. Because even if he wasn't in the Dragon God Palace, he could still find an opportunity to interact with Yizhong. As long as you know what to do. Fire Lotus said with a smile. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, then I'll go cultivate. I have to break through to half-step Transcendent God as soon as possible, or the white-eyed wolf will laugh at me again. Okay. Fire Lotus nodded. Then, with Fire Lotus's help, he took a divine nirvana pill and opened the door of potential, then entered seclusion in the cultivation room to break through to half-step Transcendent God. After breaking through to Great Perfection Monarch God, Qin Feiyang's refining speed of soul stones increased by a lot. Now, he could refine about 1,150 soul stones a day. And for a Great Perfection Monarch God to break through to half-step Transcendent God, he needed to refine 8 billion soul stones. After calculating, that would take a total of more than 19,000 years. Close to 20,000 years. What a terrifying number. Especially for Qin Feiyang, spending nearly 20,000 years to break through to a new realm was more terrifying than a nightmare. But fortunately, this was calculated according to the time outside. According to the calculation of 10 years per day in the ancient castle, 19,000 years was just over 1,900 days. In other words, it was a little more than 5 years. But compared to the white-eyed wolf, he was still at a disadvantage. But there was nothing he could do. This was fate. Who asked him to be so unlucky? Work hard to cultivate. Work hard was the way to go. On the same day, a red-robed old woman entered Holy Dragon City. She was holding a walking stick and limping. Her body was bent, but her eyes were inadvertently scanning the people passing by. There was a milky white light in her eyes. Beside the old woman was a middle-aged man in his 40s. "Mother, walk slowly." The middle-aged man whispered to the red-robed old woman as he supported her. It seemed that the eyes of the people who came and went around them were also flickering with wisps of light. Suddenly, the middle-aged man said, "Your Highness, are you sure that the city lord's mansion of Holy Dragon City was robbed by Qin Feiyang? Other than him, who else would have the guts? I really didn't expect him to come to Holy Dragon City before us." The red-robed old woman secretly snorted. This person is really difficult to deal with. I wonder where he is hiding now. The middle-aged man sighed, his face full of helplessness. Don't worry, I've already thought of a way to lure him out. Let's go to the Fenghua building first, then you go to the Dragon God Palace and tell Yi Zhong not to act rashly before I take action." The red-robed old woman secretly said. "Your Highness, this is not appropriate. We all know that the reason why Lord Longzun asked him to take charge of the Dragon God Palace in the north is to let him solve this matter." The middle-aged man transmitted his voice, looking a little embarrassed. "I don't need it. I have the ability to solve it myself. He just needs to assist me from the side. When we go to the Dragon God Palace, tell him these words as they are." The red-robed old woman said. "All right." The middle-aged man nodded in response, a trace of helplessness between his brows. This princess was too eager to be strong, it might not be a good thing. Chapter 2451. Time flew by. Qin Feiyang had been in seclusion for half a year. Whoosh! At noon that day, an old man and a young girl suddenly appeared above the city lord mansion. The old man was over 80 years old and had white hair. He was wearing old yellow clothes, but his cultivation was extremely powerful. He suppressed the city lord mansion with a wave of his hand. The young girl was wearing a white dress. She was as pure as a fairy, beautiful and refined. But both of them were wearing masks. No one knew what they looked like. Jiang Dafei was seriously injured and the old man attacked. The city lord mansion's treasure vault, which had finally accumulated some savings, was robbed again. This matter made Jiang Dafei very depressed. Moreover, the lord of the Dragon God Palace was now in charge of the Holy Dragon City. In front of the old man, the lord of the Dragon God Palace could not withstand a single blow. This matter caused quite a stir. When Yi Zhong learned about this, he immediately sent out experts to arrest the old man and the young girl. But the old man and the young girl came and went quickly. No one knew where they went. Some time passed. Another nearby city's city lord's mansion's treasury was plundered. After investigating, everyone was shocked to find that it was the old man and the young girl again. This is too lawless. Who are they? People were talking about it. But this was not the end. Another period of time passed. A city called Serpent City was robbed by the old man and the young girl again. Serpent City was as big as the Holy Dragon City. It was one of the largest cities in the north. The two largest cities were robbed one after another. Everyone was no longer shocked, but panicked. This was a blatant act of going against the Dragon Clan. But the point was, no one had been able to catch them yet. Even when Yi Zhong personally took action, they still managed to slip away. And until now, no one knew what they looked like. They knew it was the old man and the young girl. As for the identity of the two, not only the dragons, but also the people of the Dragon Slayer Palace were secretly investigating. But these two were like a mystery. No one could find out their identity. And there was no pattern to their appearance. Next, every 10 days to half a month, the treasury of a city lord's mansion would be plundered by them, causing the people in the north to panic. One day, Fan Yunzhang sent a message to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was also quite surprised to learn about this. He never thought that there would be someone even crazier than him. Looting so many cities in a row, were they planning to loot all the cities in the north? Fan Yunzhang said, "Young lord, there are orders from above for you to find out the identity of these two mysterious masked men as soon as possible." "I'll investigate." Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Yes." Fan Yunzhang nodded. "Where are the divine generals? Why didn't he investigate?" Qin Feiyang said. "The divine general has already investigated it, but he hasn't been able to find anything." Fan Yunzhang smiled bitterly. "If he can't find out, how can I? I don't have time. Also, don't send me a message before I come out of seclusion." Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he turned off the image crystal and continued to cultivate in seclusion, ignoring the outside world. As time passed day by day, this old man and young man were getting more and more arrogant. When they were preparing to loot the city lord's mansion, they actually issued a notice in advance. It was as if they were deliberately luring everyone to watch the show. Boom! One day, in the castle, suddenly, a terrifying aura burst out. This aura, at first, was that of a perfected divine lord, but soon soared to that of a half-step divine lord. A woman walked into the castle. It was Fire Lotus. Seeing that the aura came from the cultivation room where Qin Feiyang was, Fire Lotus's eyes revealed a trace of a smile. After 5 years and 3 months of seclusion, she finally broke through. Then, she was about to turn around and leave the castle. But just as she turned around, a divine light suddenly emerged from the castle hall. Immediately after, a huge time array emerged from the ground, emitting a dazzling light. Fire Lotus looked at the time array in surprise. What's going on? Li Changhe, Wang Daoyuan, the 3 black leopard brothers, the big black wolf, and even the white-eyed wolf rushed out of the cultivation room. I don't know. Fire Lotus shook her head. It's really strange. The white-eyed wolf muttered and turned to look at Qin Feiyang's cultivation room. During these years of seclusion, Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan had stepped into the 9th heaven realm. The big black wolf and the 3 black leopard brothers had also stepped into the initial divine lord level. The white-eyed wolf had already stepped into the half-step divine lord level and was working hard to reach the initial divine lord level. And he was almost halfway there. The white-eyed wolf withdrew his gaze and looked at the time array on the ground. Why did the time array suddenly appear? Fire Lotus frowned and said, could it have something to do with Qin Dage's breakthrough? What do you mean? The white-eyed wolf raised his head and looked at her suspiciously. Fire Lotus said, Qin Dage had just broken through when the time array appeared. It appeared right after he broke through? The white-eyed wolf was taken aback. Yes. Fire Lotus nodded. The white-eyed wolf said in surprise, did something happen to the castle again? What do you mean? Li Changhe looked at the white-eyed wolf in confusion. This situation has happened several times before. Every time, the castle would change dramatically. That's not right. The castle doesn't seem to be sealed anymore. Since there's no seal, why would it change? The white-eyed wolf frowned. This was too strange. Boom! At this moment, the stone door opened and Qin Feiyang walked out. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Little Qin Zi, what's going on? Fire Lotus, Li Changhe, Big Black Wolf, and the Black Panther brothers also looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang glanced at the time array on the ground and remained silent. The time array shone brightly and gradually left the ground and floated in the air. An obscure aura then spread out. Suddenly, the time array disappeared from the castle. Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback and hurriedly rushed out of the castle. Fire Lotus, White-Eyed Wolf, and the other beasts also hurriedly chased after him. They saw Qin Feiyang looking at the sky above the castle. They also looked up and there was a trace of shock in their eyes. The time array did not disappear. Instead, it floated directly above the castle. It was getting bigger and bigger, and the light was getting brighter and brighter. The sky and earth of the Devil's Land were dyed with a layer of color. Suddenly, the time array turned into a divine rainbow and rushed into the sky, disappearing from the sight of Qin Feiyang and the others. It disappeared? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. It didn't disappear. Qin Feiyang shook his head with a trace of excitement on his face. Then what is it? Everyone looked at him in confusion. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, the time array has merged with the Black Tortoise realm. Merged? Everyone was stunned. Yes. And this is not an ordinary time array. It's a time array that's even more powerful than before. The smile on Qin Feiyang's face became even brighter. Even more powerful? Everyone looked at each other. The white-eyed wolf said angrily, "Can't you say it clearly at once? Why are you keeping us in suspense? Do you believe that I will beat you up?" Qin Feiyang lowered his head to look at the white-eyed wolf, then looked at Fire Lotus and the others, saying, "The time rules of the Black Tortoise realm have undergone another earth-shattering change. It can't be." Fire Lotus looked at Qin Feiyang in a daze. Qin Feiyang finally couldn't help but laugh, saying, "You can't imagine how heaven-defying the time rules of the Black Tortoise realm are now. I can't take it anymore. Go die." The white-eyed wolf went crazy. He raised his claws and smashed them at Qin Feiyang. "I told you not to keep us in suspense. You're still laughing by yourself. How infuriating." Qin Feiyang dodged the white-eyed wolf's claws, then grabbed the white-eyed wolf and rubbed his head, saying, "The time rules of the Black Tortoise realm are now 100 years in a day." "What?" The white-eyed wolf was about to struggle, but when he heard this, his expression immediately turned sluggish. Fire Lotus, Li Changhe, Wang Daoyuan, Big Black Wolf, and Black Panther were also dumbfounded. 100 years in a day? Was this a joke? 10 years in a day was already heaven-defying. Now it was 100 years in a day? Heavens! This was too crazy. "I'm just asking you if you're happy, and excited?" Qin Feiyang rubbed Big Black Wolf's head and said excitedly. "Happy. Excited." The white-eyed wolf nodded repeatedly. 100 years in a day. How much time would he save in cultivation in the future? Just like before, Qin Feiyang needed more than 19,000 years to break through from a perfect monarch god to a half-step supreme god, and the castle needed more than 5 years. However, according to the castle's time rules of 100 years in a day, 100 days was 10,000 years. In other words, these 19,000 years only needed a little more than 190 days, which was a little more than half a year. It was too shocking. This was simply a cheating artifact. "Young master, congratulations." Li Changhe and Wang Daoyuan came back to their senses and immediately smiled at each other. They were naturally very happy. Because the castle's time rules had become more powerful, their cultivation would be faster in the future. "Wait." The white-eyed wolf frowned and struggled out of Qin Feiyang's clutches. He got up and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Isn't there no seal on the castle? I thought there was no seal at first, but when I broke through, a piece of information entered my mind. There are more than 3 seals in the castle. And the later seals are basically targeted at the time array." Qin Feiyang said. "What is the meaning of this castle? It's always playing this kind of surprise attack with us." The white-eyed wolf was unhappy. Qin Feiyang also shook his head and smiled bitterly. When Uncle Yuan first gave him the castle, he didn't know that there were seals in the castle. It was Mu Tianyang who noticed the abnormality in the castle. At that time, he realized that there was a seal in the castle. As expected. Later, when he broke through a certain realm, the castle sent a message that there were 3 seals. However, as for the 4th seal, it didn't mention anything. And now, the 4th seal suddenly appeared. Wasn't this a deliberate attack? How willful. Couldn't he tell him everything at once? The white-eyed wolf asked, "How many more seals are there?" Qin Feiyang said, "In addition to the 4th seal, there are 2 more seals." "In other words, the 5th and 6th seals?" the white-eyed wolf asked. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Then what's the change? Could it be that after unlocking the 5th seal, the time rules will become 1,000 years a day?" And after unlocking the sixth seal, it will become 10,000 years a day? The white-eyed wolf became more and more excited as he spoke, as if it would really happen. Chapter 24:52. 1,000 years in a day? 10,000 years? Qin Feiyang was speechless. That was too idealistic. Such a nomological array was a legend. It was fine to dream about it. As for reality, it was impossible to even think about it. But one thing was for sure. 100 years in a day was not the limit of the ancient castle. When the fifth and sixth seals were unlocked, the time laws would accelerate. As for how fast it would be, only by unlocking the seals would they know. And the way to unlock the seals was to break through. When they broke through to the 9 heavens realm, they would unlock the fifth seal. When they broke through to the imperishable realm, they would unlock the sixth seal. The white-eyed wolf chuckled. If old Zhao and the others know about this, they will definitely regret it even more. Qin Feiyang was stunned. There's something I haven't told you. What is it? The white-eyed wolf was puzzled. Zhao Tailai, Tang Hai, and the others are already breaking through to the perfected Paragon God realm. The Blood Kirin is already breaking through to the perfected Paragon God realm. Qin Feiyang said. What? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. How could it be so fast? The Dragon Slayer Palace also has a time array. A day is 50 years. The reason I haven't told you is that I was afraid you would be shocked. But it doesn't matter now. Our time array is more powerful than the Dragon Slayer Palaces. As long as we are willing to work hard, it will be easy to catch up with them. Qin Feiyang smiled. A day is 50 years, those bastards, no wonder they betrayed us one by one. The white-eyed wolf snorted. Cough, cough. Qin Feiyang choked on his saliva and said speechlessly, how can this be called betrayal? Besides, when they parted with us, they didn't know that the dragon-slaying palace had such a powerful time formation. Humph. Isn't that betrayal? Just wait and see. I will deal with them sooner or later. I will go into seclusion. If I don't catch up with them, no. I will not come out of seclusion until I surpass them. The white-eyed wolf snorted and turned around and ran into the cultivation room without looking back. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. It seemed that this fellow would not be able to overcome this hurdle. However, this was also a good thing. This was because the white-eyed wolf could save him a lot of trouble if he cultivated seriously. Otherwise, with the white-eyed wolf's personality, no one knew what kind of trouble he would cause. It could be summed up in one sentence. He couldn't wait for the white-eyed wolf to go into seclusion every day. Qin Feiyang turned his head to look at Li Changhe and the other man. He smiled and said, you two have also broken through. I broke through long ago. But seeing that you were in seclusion, we didn't dare to disturb you. Li Changhe. Qin Feiyang nodded and turned to look at the fire lotus, saying, prepare enough soul stones for them. Although they're going to complete a mission, they can't neglect their cultivation. All right. Fire lotus nodded. You guys cultivate first. When I leave the Dragon God Palace, I'll bring you out. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking to Li Changhe and the other man, he left the castle with the big black wolf. Inside the cave. After more than 5 years, it was already covered in a thick layer of dust. But Qin Feiyang ignored him. He glanced at the big black wolf and smiled. Not bad, you've also broken through to the early stage of the Paragon God realm. Just kidding. If you still don't break through, wouldn't it be a waste of those pills to open the door of potential? The big black wolf chuckled. Then how many soul stones do you need to break through from the half-step Paragon God realm to the early stage of the Paragon God realm? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. 10 billion. According to Big Sister, there will be more later. Breaking through to the early stage of the Paragon God realm requires 20 billion. Breaking through to the phenomenal stage of the Paragon God realm requires 40 billion. Breaking through to the perfected stage of the Paragon God realm requires 60 billion. Breaking through to the perfected stage of the Paragon God realm requires 80 billion soul stones. And breaking through to the half-step 9 heavens realm requires even more, 100 billion. The big black wolf said. So much? After hearing this, Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. In the past, divine lords only needed a few billion, but now, paragon gods needed tens of billions. Fortunately, the laws of time in the castle had changed dramatically. Otherwise, who knew when he would be able to enter the 9 heavens realm? After coming back to his senses, Qin Feiyang asked, "How many soul stones could you refine in a day when you were a half-step paragon god?" The big black wolf thought for a moment and said, "About 1,500. More than 1,500? Qin Feiyang was surprised. If he remembered correctly, when he was breaking through to the half-step paragon god realm, he had refined about 1,150 soul stones in a day. In other words, that was 400 more soul stones. It seemed that after breaking through to the next level, not only would the number of soul stones needed increase exponentially, but the refining speed would also be greatly improved. Wait. If the big black wolf can refine 1,500 soul stones in a day, will he be able to refine even more? Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang looked at the big black wolf and said, "Wait for me here. I'll go to the castle for a day of seclusion." A day of seclusion? The big black wolf was stunned. 100 years in a day. A day in the castle, how long is it outside? It's very fast. After saying that, Qin Feiyang entered the ancient castle. The big black wolf stood there in a daze. That's right. 100 years in a day. And there were 24 hours in a day. In other words, in less than 2 hours outside, 10 years had passed in the castle. It was only a day, less than 10 breaths of time. Sure enough. In less than 10 breaths, Qin Feiyang appeared again. How is it? The big black wolf asked. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "I can refine 1,650 soul stones in a day. Why is it so much more than me?" The big black wolf was stunned. In the years it had been in seclusion, it could only refine 1,550 soul stones a day. But Qin Feiyang could refine 1,650 soul stones. This difference was a whole 100 soul stones. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. This might be the relationship between talent and potential. Shameless. The big black wolf pursed its lips. Qin Feiyang chuckled and took out the image crystal. Buzz. Not long after, a shadow appeared. It was Hua Yi. But it was still Chao Dayuan's appearance. Qin Feiyang said, "Have you had fun in the past 5 years?" Fun? Hua Yi was slightly stunned, and said unhappily, "Do I look like I'm playing?" Qin Feiyang said, "I don't believe that it will take so long to find out the situation of the Dragon God Palace." Hua Yi smiled embarrassedly, and said, "I really can't hide anything from you." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him, and said, "Then tell me now, what do you know?" "A lot. I can't finish it in a day or 2. I'll tell you what you're most concerned about. The medicinal field of the Dragon God Palace is on the 10th island, and the entire island is filled with medicinal herbs. The spirit vein and crystal vein are both in the Sea of Clouds, but there is a seal, so no one can get close. As for the number, I guarantee that you will be shocked. The number of spirit veins is as many as 10,000. The number of crystal veins is more than 20,000. Hua Yi said. So many? Qin Feiyang was shocked. The big black wolf was also dumbfounded. More than 10,000 spirit veins, more than 20,000 crystal veins, what kind of concept was this? Calm down, calm down. What will surprise you even more is yet to come. These spirit veins and crystal veins are basically all of the divine level. There are more than 1,000 spirit veins above level 5, and even more crystal veins above level 5, more than 3,000. Hua Yi laughed. When Qin Feiyang and the big black wolf heard this, their breathing couldn't help but become rapid. With so many spirit veins and crystal veins, it was completely enough for the Black Tortoise realm to use. And all the creatures in the Black Tortoise realm. How is it? Are you very tempted? Hua Yi chuckled. Qin Feiyang asked, how big is the herb field? Hua Yi said, at least 2 first islands added together to compare with the 10th island. The big black wolf was stunned and asked, the entire island is filled with herbs? Yes. Didn't I say it just now? Hua Yi said. The big black wolf said in shock, damn, how many herbs are there? So. This dragon god palace is a divine treasure. Hua Yi laughed. The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang and roared excitedly, big brother, you must rob them all. Don't leave a single hair for them. If it was that simple, I would have done it long ago. Hua Yi shook his head. This wolf cub was still too naive. What do you mean? The big black wolf looked at Hua Yi in surprise. According to my observation, the seal of the spirit veins and crystal veins was personally placed by the dragon sovereign. And the herb field, in addition to a half-step invincible realm powerhouse guarding it, there is also a clone of Yizhong. Hua Yi said. Hearing this, the big black wolf shrank like a frosted eggplant. The seal of the dragon sovereign, a half-step invincible realm powerhouse. And Yizhong's clone, these were all existences that could not be defeated. Qin Feiyang asked, what is Yizhong's cultivation level? Greater Mastery Invincible Realm. And according to my monitoring, he seems to have mastered a kind of law power. Hua Yi said in a deep voice. What? The power of law. Qin Feiyang was shocked. Hua Yi shook his head and said, but I can't tell what kind of law power it is. He is indeed a terrifying figure. Qin Feiyang said. Yizhong is at the Greater Mastery Invincible Realm. Aren't the ancestral dragons and the young man who can fight him to a draw also at the Greater Mastery Invincible Realm? The big black wolf said. More or less. Hua Yi nodded, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, according to my speculation, the 4 emperors of the Dragon Slayer Palace should also be at the Greater Mastery Invincible Realm. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Back then, when the ancestor fought with the ancestral dragon of the Black Dragon clan, he did not kill him, so it was not difficult to determine that the ancestor's lineage was similar to the ancestral dragon's. But even so, the ancestor was already powerful enough. There was also Lu Zhengyang. Because compared to the ancestral dragons, they were considered juniors. Where are you now? Qin Feiyang asked. The Law Enforcement Hall. Hua Yi said. The Law Enforcement Hall? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Hua Yi said with a smile, I'm with Hong Yi. Hong Yi? Qin Feiyang frowned. Why did this name sound familiar? The big black wolf reminded, brother, it's Chao Dayuan's friend in the Law Enforcement Hall. I remember now. Qin Feiyang nodded, looked at Hua Yi suspiciously, and said, why are you with him? Back then, he accidentally bumped into me and called me. At first, I didn't know who he was. Later, I quietly beat around the bush and found out that he was Chao Dayuan's friend. So I slowly became familiar with him. Hua Yi said. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he said with a smile, that's good. Bring Hong Yi here. I'm lacking someone to take me out of the Dragon God Palace. Okay. Hua Yi nodded, and the shadow dissipated. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.